TV shows and the lack of new IPs and new ideas, which is why I'm glad to see Lucy, the Scarlett Johansson film, do well, because even if apparently it's not that great of a movie, at least it's a female-driven action film that sold really well. It wasn't based on anything and just had big star behind it. Well, two, which was more. And they didn't really even talk up. I want to say Louis Guzman, but he did not direct the movie. He was Luc Besson.
Yeah, Luc Besson. He's kind of been down. He's kind of been under the radar, I guess, since probably The Fifth Element. I know he's produced like Taken and like the Transporter series and stuff, but he hasn't fully directed a film until this one.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, he knows, like, if everybody knows I'm French, they're not gonna let me make action films anymore. So I'll just put out the movies and don't really put my name on it.
I don't know, some French action movies are pretty entertaining. I really like the Fifth Element a lot. That was a good one. Fen Makita was good too. I've only ever seen it once, but I enjoyed it.
There's Brotherhood of the Wolf is a really good one. But it changes genres every 5 minutes, because it's first like, oh, it's a horror film. No, it's a detective film. No, it's an action film. No, it's an erotic film. No, what is this? It just keeps going back and forth between all these different genres, and it's certainly got style. And that was done by Christoph Gans, who did the first Silent Hill movie, which was not too bad. It just when you looking at. Just a quick question. Are we recording?
Yeah, I was about to say, man, we might as well start recording because we're ready to get into some stuff here. I didn't want to leave it out, but yes, yeah, folks, we're recording right now. This is episode 153 of Bloody Thumbs podcast, and that sexy man you're hearing over there is C.H. Gorog.
Hello, hello.
And myself here.
My sexy co-pilot right here. That is Splinter 47.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Good looking men over here. Fortunately, we're on the internet, so nobody can validate that.
So I wanted to get that out of the way quickly. I wanted to say, Leon the Professional. I just thought of that.
Yes,
fantastic.
You know what's really not weird, but interesting about the movie is that you get Gary Oldman as the antagonist and the kind of opening sort of stuff where Natalie Portman's. Slight spoiler alert. I don't know, like, it was made back in '93, so I guess I can spoil it. Where, Natalie Portman is orphaned, and all that badass action stuff. That's kind of in the first, almost beginning half of the first act, and then it's all character stuff until the very end, where it's like Gary Oldman comes back, and it's so weird. Just because like an action film, usually it's like, okay, antagonist is in it throughout. You have, consistent action peppered in there, but it's pretty sparse. It just kind of at the beginning and then at the end.
Yeah, his scenes are never a waste. He's every scene that you see him in, you really get a sense of how ultimately a badass villain he is, and how medicated he is out of his mind, just like cracking his neck and doing the limbo. It's so creepy.
What is the one, like, was it Mozart or who was it that, like, he loved the introduction to the classical composer and then just couldn't stand the rest of it?
I'm trying to remember. It may have been Beethoven.
I think that is my second favorite Gary Oldman character.
Oh yeah, that's definitely up there. He's been in a lot of movies, dude. Damn.
Yeah, they don't even tell you what the pill that he's taking. You just see him take it and then just go crazy. I would like to think that's like an antacid, and then like he just snaps, and then like that's just him on a regular day.
Or maybe some venom, some of that Batman venom.
I mean, if Christopher Nolan can't put it in his film, I guess other filmmakers can put it in.
I guess so. I haven't actually I think I've only seen the theatrical version of that movie. I know that there's a director's cut. I don't know if you've seen that. After that makes a whole lot of difference there, because I know, infamously, like Blade Runner, there's like 7 different versions of Blade Runner out there.
Yeah, he was the guy who made a bunch of fan edits before fan editing actually became a thing, where it's like Ridley Scott had 4 different versions of the film before it even came to DVD, and it's that one was quite a feat. I have not seen the director's cut of that movie.
For Leon, for the Leon the Professional. Yellow.
Hi, there we are.
Yeah, he cut out for a bit.
Yeah. I'm sorry. What you were saying something?
You haven't seen the director's cut of The Professional, is what I was asking?
I have not. I don't think I have, no.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious, because I know that I think they may have added some scenes that might have made some sort of difference to the film. They always talk about the subtlest scenes, because like one of my other favorite movies, just to go off on a tangent on movies, like Payback with Mel Gibson. I know that there's a director's cut and there's the theatrical cut, which both of them are kind of different in terms of presentation and the way that they tell the story. Because I think the original version of that was it had a kind of bluish tint to it, and the director's cut was just in regular color. So it's it was a different film there. But I like it a lot because it kind of has some of that noirish elements to it. I'm a sucker for noir elements in movies, and that's why I'm pretty excited for the Sin City 2. Hopefully that's good.
Yeah, I remember being what was it, back in 2005 that the first Sin City was released?
Yeah, probably around that time. Yeah, 2005. You nailed it right there.
Oh, well, hey, and I just what was the name of the I loved that trailer. It was that was the perfect time of go against the system. It's unfair. And I gotta be gritty like Mickey Rourke and punch bad guys in the face. And then of course that the Cells by the Servant. Cells by the Servant, I think, was the song they had there. That was the perfect song to have onto there. And the thing is, I'm not entirely sure that A Dame to Kill For is going to be... It's the same people who did it before, but I'm worried because the last thing Frank Miller did was the Spirit movie, and we all saw how that turned out. It's you took Nick Fury and Black Widow and made them into unwatchable protagonists. Yeah,
well, fortunately, I mean, it's still going to be co-directed, with Robert Rodriguez, so he's probably going to have more input on that than anything else. I guess mostly maybe what worked was Frank Miller being there as maybe creative input, but that's really all about it. He doesn't. He everything else movie wise in terms of directing, he's going to be sitting on the sideline for those, I think.
Yeah. Whoa. I'm really happy that they decided not to bring back Clive Owen, because in the original film, that there's that stipulation that American actors can't pull off British accents convincingly, and that British actors trained theatrically can pull off any accent in America. If you want to see hard evidence contrary to that, watch Clive Owen in Sin City. That is the worst American general accent. And in America we have 28 different accents per state. And you could get away with anything, but Clive Owen just couldn't do it. He did this weird enunciation like Andrew Lincoln did in the first season of The Walking Dead, where he's I need a big car with a hard trunk and lots of room in it. It's dude, what are you doing? Come on.
Them things.
Dames to Kill For. So I assume a lot of them are going to be whores because it's Frank Miller writing it.
I don't actually remember Clive Owen putting on an American accent, because like most of the films, I don't even think he even bothered putting an American accent in that movie, because I never seen him try or ever. I don't remember if he did or not in that first Sin City. I think he just still had a British accent.
Oh no! I specifically remember because
I gotta watch it again.
The first thing I said to my buddy when we were leaving the theater was like, "How badass was that movie?" Right? Yeah. How bad was Clive Owen's American accent? It was just. I have a theory that it was actually so bad that most people actually think he didn't even put on an accent. Like, oh, I guess that's a British accent that he's got on. It's like, nope, that was it. And it was just such a weird beast too, because it was like Pulp Fiction's interweaving narratives, but are kind of vignettes and more complete stories. And it was this weird fantasy thing. It wasn't like hard crime noir, because you had like that one scene of Mickey Rourke like smashing that guy's face, into the pavement while he's driving, and he's not dead because apparently he still gets information from him. Yeah.
Some of it's way violent, but they shake it off like nothing in that movie. So is Josh Brolin replacing Clive Owen in his previous role? What am I thinking? I'm looking at
Hello?
Hello.
I'm sorry, you dropped out of there for a moment.
My goodness.
This damn you, Belkin. Even when I switch to another provider, you still hound me.
The Belkin ghost still proceeds on ruining our conversations.
I gotta say, I think that movie was the big turning point for Mickey Rourke. That, and like even more than not the fighter, the wrestler, where because he was not in the public eye for a long time. He was like the whole downward spiral, the drugs, and then he came back with Sin City. You're like, holy crap, this guy can act. And then then it was like, oh yeah, the wrestler too. It was like that's pretty damn awesome. Like, the '90s sucked.
I'm probably I probably wouldn't say I'm the only one, but I think he looks bearable in terms of his facial features actually in Sin City than he does in real life. He looks actually better with the makeup.
It was an improvement.
Yeah, like that. What was it, like that hard chin, and then kind of the what was it? The
kind of face like shattered glass.
It was that in like the buzz cut. It was the flat top.
Yeah. Instead of, and then like you watch that movie and then you see him in real life. It's like, I don't know how this guy can look any weirder. And then he goes into Iron Man 2 with the boy band dreads and into like the frosted tips and the whole like Russian tattoos. Like, no, I think this is the weirdest look that he's pulled off so far.
Yeah, like he's almost not really getting to that level, but he's had his unique looks in different movies. It's nowhere near like Nicolas Cage, with his hair always changing in every single direction.
He finds a new piece of roadkill to glue onto his head.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I watched a Con Air with my mom actually about a month or so back. She doesn't normally like violent movies. She doesn't like swearing. She doesn't like death, and yet she loved that movie.
That movie's enjoyable, man.
Nicolas Cage proved that God existed. I will show you guys real.
You gotta
taking a bullet and just keep on walking.
You guys gotta watch Face Off together.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Face Off. That's the next one with John Travolta.
Castor Troy.
I do wonder if like this generation's action heroes like Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, if all those guys are going to turn out to be like Nicolas Cage and John Travolta, where they like go crazy and like join cults or like have like these weird hobbies and stuff like that because they're so rich they can just really do the weirdest things.
You never know. It might actually happen. Mm-hmm. Or maybe Nicolas Cage gets that comeback. Maybe he's in Ghost Rider for the next Avengers.
No, good. Ghost Rider. I tell you, that's despite it being all about a guy who essentially cannot die and is like bound by the devil to come back to life, this series needs to die. Johnny Blaze. First off, come on. Second, that just why? Who saw like the first Ghost Rider? And you know what? We need to make a sequel to this. I don't think there's such a rich pantheon of storytelling that we can do.
No, like after watching that second one, like the first one was, in terms of the special effects, they were so bad. Like the floating head on the body it just looked so bad. Like I thought the second movie, even though it wasn't anything great, but the way Ghost Rider looked and the special effects were so much better in that movie. If only they had better writing for it, but yeah. I enjoyed it for what it was, even though I hated the plot of that movie. It was directed by the Crank guys too. I wish they would do something. I wish they would do something better in terms of maybe something that they can direct the action scenes, and then somebody has some better writing skills will get that going. That would be quite a combination.
Yeah, they need to just do with Crank. They've shown what they can do with no budget, with just like, let's make something crazy, and let's, because like the first Crank was like, okay, it's kind of an over the top action movie, and the second one's like, we're gonna bring our main protagonist from last film back from the dead, so we have thrown every single resemblance of making sense just right out the window. We are going full Japanese weird in terms of just like the stuff that we're going, like the cyborg and like the guy's brain in a jar, and just like the whole like Godzilla King Kong fight where Jason Statham just gets electrocuted and everything changes. Oh, so good.
And the shotgun up the ass, that was amazing.
There is just so much joy, and if somebody would just give them a decent sized budget, we will get one of the craziest action films I think ever of all time, just because those guys are just so talented. And
they could probably direct a Bayonetta movie. Imagine that.
Oh my god, that would be great. A Bayonetta film with those guys at the lead, that would make my day. That would take the cake. I
But there's some movies there. We got that we were talking about, Sin City. I know I mentioned it before here. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but the Snowpiercer movie. That movie was fantastic. I think it was a Korean film that was that had some limited showings in the theaters, and they actually had it like on demand. It was doing pretty well for itself for a small kind of indie movie.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely gotta see it when you get the chance. I think it's on demand. Like if you had like Amazon, you could probably rent it there for like probably less than $5, I believe.
I have not seen it in theaters. Yes. I have not seen it yet. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I've heard nothing but great things about it. It's, apparently, as somebody put it, it's BioShock on a train. Of just like these people surviving in a... It goes on and chugs along, and it's a society built on, the world is dead, so this is the only place in the world that we can, still be alive.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't disagree with that sentiment. It's probably the closest thing you're gonna get to a BioShock movie, and I think that's saying a lot. I mean, it has a lot of similar themes to BioShock. There's definitely a scene in the movie where they go basically the combat global warming. They kind of dropped this nuke in order to stop global warming, but that ended up just like freezing almost the entire world, and almost everybody is dead, and everywhere around the world is frozen, and mostly people who survived were on the train at the time. So it's this kind of very advanced kind of futuristic train. So that's how they kind of build a whole society off of that train. There's multiple different carts and sections in that train. So you got the very back of the train is at the very lower class, and as you go, by cart by cart, it starts to change. Like every single cart that they go into in that movie, just like the environment changes completely. It's just, I think it was so well done, the environments. And there's one particular area in there that reminded me so much of BioShock, just like how they praise this kind of unknown, it's almost the equivalent to, what was it? It was Andrew Ryan. It might have been, what was the other guy?
Who is Atlas?
It was pretty much equivalent to Atlas. They call him Wilford in the movie. So there's a lot of like this kind of society thing that's all based on his rules and everything like that. It was just it was a very enjoyable movie. Like, without really saying too much, it's pretty much almost like BioShock on a train, like you mentioned there before. And Chris Evans puts on definitely a hell of a performance in that movie. There's a lot to it, and definitely worth checking out if you ever get the chance. That's one of my favorite movies of this year. I gotta put it up there.
Ooh, okay. Well, so you, sir, have excellent taste, so I don't mind jumping right on in and going to go see it right after. Well, then depending on when this is over and when I can get to bed, but I would love to go see it the next, for Up on the Cube.
Sure, I'll probably link you to it. There's probably some websites out there you can watch it.
Yeah, Amazon, wink, wink.
Amazon,
where you can pay for it, wink, wink. Yeah. Legally, wink, wink.
But
it's nice to see that this was a risky film where the people behind it really wanted to do something original and fresh, and it's getting a big payoff for it.
Yeah,
and it's because I know Chris Evans was a bit downtrodden that the Hollywood scene is just all the same stuff, and there's like very few roles that he's actually been happy with. Like, I know Captain America was one of them, but there wasn't too much in terms of him looking forward to it, and that's why he was retiring.
You didn't like an experience in not another teen movie?
No, it's strange. You think the guy with the picture of himself looking at himself, that scene would have made him say to himself, this movie, or having the banana like glued onto his butt, just like this movie, this is what it's all about. It's not about the awards, not about the applause, not about the money. It's right here. Banana boat.
I knew when I stuck that banana up my ass that I'd be Captain America one day in the Avengers.
It's like before and after. Steve Rogers' awkward teen years.
But yes, if any of you folks have that film, hopefully, like maybe around the area in your theaters, definitely go check it out. Snowpiercer, man. And Tilda Swinton's in it, and like she was unrecognizable. I didn't know that was her until I looked at IMDb. That's something there.
I hear is kind of one of those movies that it kind of sounds sort of goofy and in just the concept, but it's the execution which is pretty damn flawless, and I like pretty damn convincing, and I like the director a lot, who did a lot of South Korean movies, like one of my favorites, The Host.
I've seen that as well. I've only seen like half of it, and I didn't finish the rest because I had to go somewhere, because I think it was on Sci-Fi one day, and I was watching that, and I was like, damn,
SYFY?
This was funny. Yeah, SFY, Sci-Fi. Whatever weird spelling they want to change it to.
Oh yeah.
But I enjoyed the hell out of that movie from what I saw of it. That was good.
Damn good monster film.
But Snowpiercer, and then we got I think that's about it. I think that's the last movie I saw recently, and then we have the Guardians of the Galaxy coming out pretty soon, which I wasn't too excited about it, because the first trailer I didn't think was that great. The second trailer was a whole lot better than the first one, personally. But it got me excited on the possibilities, on just reading up on exactly what they're about and everything else that they tied to the Avengers and everything else. I'm just what a time to be a superhero fan these days. Even though it's kind of a little bit always there's always superhero movies out there, but definitely these are the ones that we are always looking forward to for many years.
And it's great that they're taking a lot, because of the fact that the superhero genre is starting to be well-worn ground, they're taking more risks on riskier subject matter and creative stylings that are really paying off. Like the whole Iron Man 3 pointing out that the military-industrial complex is kind of stupid, or the Winter Soldier going like, yeah, the fact that we're sacrificing so much freedom for security is just ludicrous. And the fact, and it's nice to see that Guardians of the Galaxy, that one came out of nowhere. Just because, like, with Thor and Captain America, it's like, okay, these guys, they haven't had their spotlight yet, and if we get the right talent behind it, we might be able to get these guys, convince everyone that these guys just belong in the A-list. And this one is like, let's get the D-list guys, and let's bring in the characters where two of them are one is a talking tree that says that only says I am Groot, and another one which is a smart-mouthed machine gun wielding raccoon that's not like an anthropomorphic raccoon where it's just a guy and a raccoon, ears like maybe in like an anime. It's like no, he's just a raccoon who talks, and Bradley Cooper's voicing him, and he's not the biggest celebrity. And we have Chris Pratt as the main star.
Mm-hmm.
It is quite a time to be alive, and DC's... What is DC's show? Batman and Superman looking at each other.
Oh my god.
Like, oh my god, Batman's eyes were white. It's like, yeah, that really was great. The Dark Knight and the Amazing Spider-Man teaser trailers actually had, lines of dialogue and scenes from that film. Like the teaser wasn't even live action, which is even a bigger slap to the face. Like you couldn't have just like had Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck just standing on a green screen and then just like make get the intern to Photoshop them behind, looking at each other. Like, why?
I don't know,
man. It just makes no sense. And it's not even anything great. Maybe if it was just like Batman wandering down an alley and then hearing something, and then he goes to explore it, and then he comes across Superman and he turns, and then it's like and then Superman just looks at him, and then his eyes just light up. That would be like, oh, okay, maybe that can go somewhere. But it's just both of them staring at each other. There's nothing there.
Staring at each other says a lot there, CH. Come on. They're setting up something. They don't want to show too much. They're giving you a little bit of taste to see where this is going. You may see a fight scene between them, and you may see, and there's inspirations of the Dark Knight Returns there.
I'm sure the context of that entire stare down would change if in the background music you had sexual healing, but just go him lighting up the bat signal. It's like, I don't want to be hurt again. When I get that feeling,
sexual healing.
It just still amazes me how DC can't do anything that's not Batman related. I've finally come to accept this, where it's like when it comes to Batman, they knock it out of the park. Pretty much, like the games, the movies, the TV shows, the cartoon series, and like they're even doing Gotham, which is like even though it's not starring Batman, it's still in Batman's universe.
Yeah, and DC is so behind. I don't know what they're doing here. I don't think they even know.
Yeah, the last thing, like Man of Steel, it didn't generate the amount of money or critical reception that they wanted.
It was kind of lukewarm there. Sorry? It was kind of lukewarm there.
Yes, it was. I'm just playing yogurt, and it's. And it was so sad because before they did Green Lantern, which was, oh my god, that movie is a turd sandwich, because that movie makes you actively root for the bad guy. Because there's that one scene, like listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to spoil this for you, but I'm doing you a favor because that movie is terrible. And it starts out with like that goes alongside Catwoman with how bad the movie is. Because there's this scene of Hal getting the ring, and then he is confronted by like 3 scientists who lost their job because he was hot dogging it, like not doing his job, not like Hal doing his job, like he literally did something he didn't need to do just because of his ego. And so what they do is they essentially jump him behind a bar and just start beating him up, and then they leave him alone after they do that. It's like, listen, they're justified. Like this guy, he just took away their jobs. And so like Hal like finally gets the ring to work, and so he gets them to turn around, and they just is like this huge massive punch, and it sends all 3 of them flying into cars. So now are they don't have a job? They're probably paralyzed, and like the movie wants to go like, yeah, isn't that badass? It's like, are you? Those guys might be dead. What? Why are we rooting for this guy?
My God, that's like the opposite of character development. That's like the opposite of getting to like somebody. That's like villain characterization right there. On reflection, that would have been brilliant if like it was advertised as a superhero film, but you start to slowly realize it's a super villain film. Whoa. And like Hal is actually like slowly starting to take over the universe and just go crazy. But it's not that. It's just so bad, and there's like scenes where there are plot holes, and then they break that to establish more plot holes, like the whole, like, oh no, Parallax, or the big diarrhea monster, as people would like to point out. It's like, he can't break free because of our power of courage, and then he breaks free, and then they're like, oh well, I guess he could. He's like, are you kidding me? Like, it had 4 screenwriters. 4. I want you to look on your fingers and hold up 4 and realize that 4 adult men could not think of a better screenplay than that. Oh my God. And then they had Tim Robbins as the father of the villain. I can't remember the actor's name. I'm going to look him up really quickly. But essentially, Tim Robbins is a glorified cameo appearance. And he is... hold on, I just got it right now. That sounds like an admission. That sounds like an admission to me. Seeing Tim Robbins.
War of the Worlds and then this. It's like, dude, you're not exactly on a hot streak. Just don't stay away from big budget stuff. Oh, Peter Sarsgaard,
poor dude.
And you realize that, like, looking at him and looking at Tim Robbins, you have to think like that character that Tim Robbins is playing had to have had Peter Sarsgaard's character when he was like 12, because they are just like years apart, and it's because like Peter Sarsgaard does not look in the same age bracket as Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. It is oh my God, like even in a post Iron Man world that just couldn't fly. In a post X-Men and Spider-Man film, this film would not fly. They had like 3 decades of superhero films, and they made this crap.
Oof. This dude.
But anywho.
Well, yeah, I fortunately didn't have the displeasure of seeing the movie, so that's good for me.
They try to have their own Nick Fury character. Amanda Waller in the DC universe is essentially the head of the big corporate behind-the-scenes stuff, and they bring her in for like a few snippets, like, oh, okay, she's just going to be serving as Sam Jackson, Nick Fury type of character, but not really be introduced in this movie with any backstory. And then they have like a mind-reading thing where they just like go through her entire backstory in the span of like 5 seconds. Not joking. It is like a montage of motion comics, and you just look at this film and just go, was anyone actually writing this? Was this just like, I'm fairly certain that one of the screenwriter's sons just looked at this, like wrote his own version, and then like they accidentally got mixed up, and this was the version that they made. And it's so wonderful to behold, because everything about it is just wrong. Like, X-Men Origins Wolverine is a bad film, but it can be enjoyable at parts because of how ludicrously silly it is, or just like things that don't make sense.
Sure.
Green Lantern is just confounding. It will immediately just challenge you to stay with it. It won't say like, oh, like maybe this will go somewhere. It just like, it looks you dead in the eye and go, do you want to open this Pandora's box? There is no hope that springs out of the end of it. It's just the worst of humanity. This piece of crap cost $300 million to make.
Very unfortunate that it didn't do well. It seemed like it just mainly suffered from just the story part, I think. I mean, everything else seems like it was in motion there. They had a good director. I think it was Martin Campbell who did Casino Royale.
Yeah, he did Casino Royale, GoldenEye, Mask of Zorro, which are, some pretty well-regarded action films.
Yeah, I mean, say what you will about Ryan Reynolds as Hal Jordan. I mean, that had also had some potential, and I think it all just kind of failed on nobody was looking at the writers. Nobody read the script. It just it was like a first rough draft. I watched Buried with Ryan Reynolds, and that's kind of his only real claim to acting fame. But after watching that, I said, I'm going to give him a shot. I think, he's more than just a pretty boy. I think he can actually be a really good dramatic lead. He's not just Van Wilder. And, and then I watch this movie, and then I go, you know what? He doesn't deserve any fair treatment. What he does deserve is like 50 lashings, public lashings, like in the middle of Times Square, everyone just solemnly looking at him, like in Starship Troopers, where he just like one. In fact, let's get Clancy Brown in there just to hand out the lashings, and then like everybody who decided to be in this film. Blake Lively is terrible in Green Lantern. I cannot understand what drove her to just commit career suicide with this. Mark Strong is, oh my god, Mark Strong is trying his ass off, but there's a small moment where there's like a glimmer in his eye at the end of the big speech he gives in Green Lantern, where he just like has this self-realization moment of, oh my god, I just realized what I'm in. And then and then like his character, Sinestro, he like eventually in the comics he becomes a bad guy, and they kind of sort of foreshadow it, but they don't really give him enough motivation to become a bad guy. But in the post-credit scenes, he puts on a yellow ring and then just becomes the bad guy. There's no explanation for any of this. The yellow ring symbolizes a lot, CH. You gotta look deeper.
Yes, as in symbolism. Urine. As in this film was written with urine, because this is piss poor everywhere. This would not be a good superhero film for like 1978.
My goodness. You know what? I did not expect an impromptu review of Green Lantern. I gotta see this now, even though it's probably
I didn't want to do this.
We gotta do some type of riff tracks on this. This is gonna be something to behold.
I would gladly do that. It's like the Call of Cthulhu. You can't escape. The more you try to look away, the more you're pulled in, and the more sanity you lose. And it's just this great moment of not knowing what the hell you've gotten yourself into. It really could be a horror story. It's The Ring, essentially, with a green ring.
Whoa.
Yep.
So we had Batman and Superman staring at each other. That's the highlight of that Comic-Con there.
Damn it! Hold on. Hello. There we are. Gotcha.
So we had Batman and Superman staring at each other. So that's the highlight of this discussion. as much as I'm a mark for Batman, I mean it looked cool, but that's really all about it. I can't say anything else really. There's nothing to say. I heard there's some good stuff shown for the Avengers, but it has not been leaked yet. So unfortunately, I have not seen it.
They have Ultron scattering to make sure no pieces of information get picked up.
But yeah, anyways, we'll move on from that. I don't know if you have anything you wanted to talk about in terms of movies, but
no.
I'll bring up some small things here. TV shows. I don't know if you've caught up yet on the 24 season that we kind of mentioned before.
Yeah, I've not gotten caught up on that, so...
All right.
Next week?
That's fine. That's fine. I actually thought about it because I was watching the 24 Comic-Con panel that they had there. Yeah, it just got me thinking on just the whole series in general. But yeah, once you see that finale, I don't know, it's probably not a finale because there's definitely room for other shows or movies. I preferably would probably want to see another season or miniseries like they did this year, rather than a movie. I mean, I feel like they can span that out a lot better and develop storylines a lot better than just condensing it to like a 2-hour movie.
I thought it was a little bit funny, like the idea of a 24-hour movie, but they just call it 2 or 2.5. These days events take over the course of 2.5 hours of this day.
Don't challenge me. Imagine if they did that, or if they had like 24 in parts, so you have you go back to the theater each day and watch the rest of the parts rather than just sitting through it 24 hours.
I would just see like Keith Sutherland on the screen, and I'd just have my Xbox controller going, "Come on, Snake, turn left. What are you doing? You need to go back to Mother Base."
I remember they actually had that going on like years ago. They had a kind of a 24 viewing party, and they were actually showing like I think all the seasons leading up to whatever season was premiering back then. They had it in the theater. You could watch all the seasons in like one go. So people were actually there for like all those seasons at the theater for like a couple days straight. It was crazy. And then also it reminded me to watch the YouTube video of Kiefer taking down that tree. It was amazing. That Christmas tree.
That tackle was glorious. That was like, well, I was going to compare it to a Redskins player, but let's face it, he's better than the Redskins players that we got right now. I mean, he just went whole hog. He didn't just like do it as a joke, like I'm taking it down. He's like, you killed my father. Now you will die, and then just ram that tree and just got it. It was an MMA takedown.
That's perfect, flawless takedown.
He could be a Mortal Kombat character. That'll be his fatality.
But yes,
fatality.
But other than that, I know you told me that you've officially wrapped up playing Absolution for the first time.
Yes.
After much, you had such a very long journey with Hitman Absolution, and I mean that in the best way. Yes. First off, you couldn't download it, and then you had to buy the disc, and then you lost your save, and you had to start the game over again.
Oh yeah, it was a really weird concoction of different ones, where it was like I couldn't download it at first, and then I could download it, but I couldn't play the game, and then so you just decided to, okay, I'll about 70% through it, most of the storyline, like starting the end of Act 2,
yeah,
and then for some reason I saved the game, I turned it off, I went back to it, and then like the memory was completely wiped, all the skills that I had acquired and all the unlockable things just gone. So that just really took me back, where I said, okay, you know what, I can't do this. I gotta jazz myself up to get back into it. And so finally I had beaten Absolution, I'd be happy to knock on wood, hopefully, when I go back, say, okay, let me just finalize my thoughts, like all the data's like erased again, like no.
Sure.
Yeah. But let's give a dual review, since I'd like to hear your opinions on it as well as mine.
I mean, I think we've kind of nailed it down, I believe. I don't know if it was that or Blood Money a couple episodes ago, but I mean, just maybe you can maybe summarize it a bit. I think
Sure.
Most folks have my thoughts on it. I enjoyed it for what it was. It was different enough, but still had elements of of traditional Hitman games. I liked it for what it was. I can't wait till they put out. I can't wait till the next Hitman game they put out for next gen, because they've been saying that they're going to go back to traditional gameplay of Blood Money. So that got me really excited. I kind of missed a little bit of that type of gameplay, the kind of hidden in plain sight type of stealth in Absolution. But it was unfortunate that wasn't there. But I can understand why they didn't have it. They were looking to change things up. But I, for one, just absolutely love Blood Money, so that's why it's still up there as my favorite game in the series till this day. It's just a lot of things in that game was just so well constructed and just made by people who just love games, man. You could just tell.
Blood Money was well constructed. I love the fact that they have the Royal Tenenbaums, a curtain opening, or Moulin Rouge show, curtain opening and curtain closing. Like that was great. I love that. Just that little touch. I think it was the artistry of it all, and just really coming together for the perfect culmination of that type of stories that they wanted to tell with the Hitman universe. Absolution, I feel like, took a lot of flack because it tried to do what Splinter Cell Conviction did, which we've made comparisons to left and right, where it's a little bit more streamlined, not as much choice. It's not essentially like, oh, here's a giant environment, you got to learn the ins and outs, you got to find the right people, you got to memorize things. Where you can just like go in guns blazing, kill everybody, and then get onto your target. And that just makes it kind of a funny comparison, where he's like Diana gave me information, and I sold perfection. And then just like the next scene, we have like charging in with a shotgun and just like blowing everyone away. It's like, I am the master assassin. But it was I like the story that they had. Yeah. I think it was interesting that they had him kind of going on the run from the agency that he made, and I do love the characters. I do love the Rebecca storyline, kind of how that mirrors him, and him getting sympathy through that. Since there isn't a whole lot we know about Agent 47 besides he's got some religious symbolism following him everywhere with nuns and churches, and it was not spoiling too much. I thought that the third act plot change was a bit, I don't know, it felt a little bit like a cop-out. Just because, I thought they were going to lead to something kind of like a big character moment for 47. Maybe that was just the fact that, like, maybe there will never be a big character moment for 47 that's not more calculated. And, yeah, so, that being said, I thought overall story was well done. I like the characters. Even the crazy characters of, like, Lenny, or Blake, or I'm trying to like who was damn it, I'm trying to remember his name.
Blake was something right there. Crazy dude.
Oh yeah.
I like the cameo appearances of Kane and Lynch. Those were good.
Oh yeah.
I think you can actually kill him too, but it's funny. I actually, I think the last time we talked about it, I actually replayed it again. There's definitely some parts in there, like I realized like how easy you can kind of blow through it. Like actually, in terms of like rampaging it, like it's pretty easy compared to doing it stealthy. Like I couldn't play it that way, but I did a couple levels that way, and then actually, I mean, I got a decent enough score, even though I killed like half the people there. But it was crazy. There's that, and then there's also I can definitely agree what you were mentioning on the third act. Like it definitely did suffer a little bit, and there's some, even the missions there, like it seemed like they were starting to run out of ideas a little bit by the third act. I actually liked the very end of that. I think it was the very last mission, and then there's like the epilogue afterwards. Where you finish up everything. You're at the, I think it was like a cemetery. Mm-hmm. That one was pretty cool, and then you face off against like these other I guess other big assassins from the agency that you never really heard of or get much info. And it's crazy how so much controversy was sparked from that one trailer with the nuns, and they're barely in the game. Really not a lot of whole development with them, other than I know they put out some type of trailer video, or maybe like a digital comic or something that got a little bit into detail, but there was very few information actually in the game about them. So it really didn't make a whole lot of difference whether they were there or not. And you never really they're like newer characters that never been in the past games at all, so you really rarely knew anything about them. But that whole mission itself was pretty cool. How you take them out, one by one, and progress through that whole level out. It's pretty cool.
Cornfields.
Oh, the cornfield too. Did you try to assassinate somebody as a scarecrow? That was pretty funny.
No, I did not do that. I just kind of waited for one of the saints, I think.
Yeah.
To wander into the cornfield and to take her down quietly, just because there's so many mercenaries out there that I just like. Are you kidding me? I can't even move without the guy being like, "Hey, you over there!" And thank goodness that the action controls are a little bit more up to snuff. I do like the I don't want to call it with the point and click
like mark and execute almost.
Yes, that's the one where it's you just line up shots almost perfectly and then take everybody down with precision, and that almost made it too easy for some cases. So it was really trying to figure out, like, okay, I gotta do it stealthy, I gotta find the right outfits and costumes to to keep everybody disguised, and just it was I do still really like the universe that they have there, because it's all the characters are these even especially 47 of just these very strange characters who are oddball, but they still have actually a good amount of depth to them, because there's Blake Dexter. Come on, that guy is just nuts. He's just a fun character, but you had Travis, who on spoiler, turn away for 10 to 5 seconds, where he's dying and then he's asking his son to forgive him. I'm like, wow, that's actually a pretty poignant moment. I didn't really expect that. And it's like, I'm sorry, that was I'm sorry, I got that confused with Dexter. Dexter is dying and then just asking his son to forgive him. And it also now I'm thinking about Travis. He's also a main antagonist, but he's kind of. Have you ever seen Kung Fu Hustle?
Yeah, I've seen a good majority of the film, for the most part.
Well, the kind of leader of the mob who's constantly being beat up, like he's not being respected. He, like, every time he tries to do something cool, it just comes off as like goofy or idiotic. That's how I feel about Travis, who is voiced by Powers Booth.
Powers Booth he's awesome.
And he's just so pathetic, and it's just this moment of like, wow, I kind of just want to, I know this guy's the enemy, but I just feel so sorry for him just because nothing goes his way in the story.
Right, and he also had his own backroom deals going on as well, which made him ultimately, one of the other main antagonists there. I mean, he could definitely have gotten a bit more time there. I know in the book, like there's a book that came before the game came out. He definitely got a bit more info about him actually than you actually did in the game. Other than that, there's also like the assistant to him as well. She could have been a bit more fleshed out.
Mm-hmm.
Who is she played by? I know that she's been in some movies too, but she was definitely one of those underrated actors that hasn't gotten a whole lot of work since for a while now.
Mm-hmm. And it's a really good roster of actors who do have some chops on them, who do have some acting chops on them, but just don't get that big limelight moment, because they have Keith Carradine in there. We mentioned Powers Booth and Vivica A. Fox, as she was the head of the Saints assassin nuns, and it's like, wow, you guys really put out some good strong voice actors for kind of bit parts. Like that was really well done. Like you guys really made like that. It just made it that more impressive. Like when you're playing through it, it's like, wow, you guys did a good job.
Yeah, there were some good performances, but some of them were underused. But I think for what it was fine. There was also, like you mentioned, definitely some interesting weird characters. Definitely there was the one guy as well that I forgot his name. It might have been Lenny or maybe somebody else. After you kill him, he's talking about how I think he was talking about how he got a hard on or something while he's dying. I got a boner. What the fuck he's talking about?
There's for Lenny, you end that scene where you're just there is that just moment I do like. It's a very short level where you're making Lenny dig a grave.
Yeah.
And 47 is just, this guy has caused him nothing but misery. So you have the choice of, you can kill him with your guns, you can kill him with the physical weapons because he's got a limp and he can't exactly escape, or you can just leave him out there to die. And no matter which way you do it, like he's even when you let him live out in the desert, he just realizes, oh god, I don't know how to get out of here, and then he'll die. But it's just those little moments that it's like these little moments of just creative brilliance, and I do like that about AIM, although I wish kind of it was carried throughout the entire way through, because I felt like the third act was kind of a missed opportunity.
Yeah, there's definitely could have been a lot done there. I liked some of the environments in the game as well, like that scene and that you brought up with where you're digging the grave. That was just it just looks so great. Like that game looks, and the engine they use is so good. Their in-house engine.
You can. It's like they spend a lot of time to make sure that you notice, like how much. I was about to say Splinter 47. No, I didn't know you were in the game. That's a DLC character right there.
I wish. I wish I could get killed by 47.
Yeah, you just had that moment. It's like, oh my god, Agent 47, you're my fuck.
Like for some type of Easter egg of him opening a door and me playing the game, and then just chokes me out while I'm playing the game and he's killing me.
Best death ever. It's that is a really really good engine, and it's how I feel about, maybe it was the same thing with the Grand Theft Auto 4's engine, or the Splinter Cell engine, when they kind of go to next gen and they scrap all of the new a lot of the extra features that they had on it that they worked out really well with the previous engine. The new engine has to maybe be more bare bones and bare minimum just so that it can really function well, with the graphics being kind of more the priority or the presentation. Because and then like they'll fine tune it later, like in Grand Theft Auto 5, how it played a lot better than 4, just because they had a lot more time to work with the engine. And maybe that's the case with the next Hitman game, where Absolution was kind of a trial run and seeing what they could do, and then the next one is going to be, okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's do something that we can really put up there with Blood Bunny as maybe the best in the series.
I definitely can't wait. I mean, they've definitely proven that they can definitely do that, especially some of the levels in the game where there's so much NPCs on screen and just no really sudden frame drops or anything. It's all kind of running pretty smooth there. I also want to bring up real quick, I like the one level, I think like you mentioned, that it might have been the third act. Like the third act, there's a lot of really short levels in there that just kind of there to transition the story pretty much. I mean, the whole game is pretty linear. There's some elements to Blood Money, but for the most part is getting from point A to point B is pretty linear. I like the part where you get a new suit, and then if you go downstairs you can actually put on other disguises, and there's actually a disguise there from from Blood Money, the murder of the crows level, where you're disguised yourself as the bird.
Yeah, you had you as the big chicken costume.
That was awesome. Just a small little, throwback to Blood Money. I like that a lot.
That must have cost them a lot of time and a lot of resources just to make that level with that one character. I like the fact that he's a blind tailor. I don't know why. It just seems kind of like a mythical thing that Agent 47 would have. And just like, yeah, I like that. But the fact that they're willing to make these, it's almost like the little things that I love more than just kind of the grand scheme. Just like the very small moments, like the cops coming into the huge pot distillery that the stoners have, or the little NPC dialogue where the guy's talking about his ex-wife, or there was like the couple who were getting married, and then just so many different amazing little like snippets of just matter-of-fact life, where it's not just like everybody in this world is a complete no, actually, like sometimes they're genuine human beings. And one of my favorite bits was at the first level where the guy is telling, like, yes, I don't have prostate cancer, it's awesome, nothing can ruin this day, and then I throw him out the window.
Yeah, there's a lot of great moments like that. It's like there's so much detail to the NPCs. I think that all the NPCs are so well written that I just couldn't help but hold back on doing what I was doing, just like standing there and listening to them. That there's so much there that you can miss and probably get distracted by because you're so focused on the game that I usually, like the second time I played it, I spend a whole lot of time listening to people's conversations rather than doing what I was supposed to be doing. But that's just a tribute to how well the NPCs were and how real they felt, and they weren't just there for just to be there as props like a lot of other games are. That's what I really enjoyed about it, and also just the ending was good as well. There's definitely, they left it open for more of the games, especially. I mean, they weren't gonna end it that way, so there's a lot of potential and a lot more to go by. How everything wraps up in the end.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I could dig a future Hitman game with Rebecca.
I wouldn't mind that. Maybe there's some DLC there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was so overall not great, but good. It not a total waste of time, and hopefully you can get yours running a little bit easier than I did on my end of the world.
Yeah, maybe have a less troublesome experience there. I've also, since we last recorded here, I played a couple of different games. I finally got to play Murdered Soul Suspect. That the game from, I believe it was Airtight. It might have been the Airtight Studio. I think that's what they're called. Yeah. That got closed down after that game. Yeah. Unfortunately, it always sucks to see a gaming studio go down. And also there was also Neversoft as well. They did the whole thing where I think most of the Neversoft is merging with might be Infinity Ward developer, or maybe the Sledgehammer, I think. So Murdered Soul Suspect, if you haven't seen a lot or heard about it a lot, it's basically you play a detective or cop that gets murdered, and you become a ghost, and you're basically you solve your own murder mystery. And the game doesn't have a whole lot of depth in terms of like the combat or anything else. It's mainly I would put it as this. It's mostly a kind of point and click adventure game. It's almost in the realm of LA Noire in terms of how you investigate scenes and pick up items. It's not as well detailed as LA Noire. You're basically just pushing one button to examine, and that's really all about it. That's all you pretty much do in the game. There's not a whole lot of depth. You're basically examining scenes of a crime that and throughout the game that pretty much leads you to finding out more about the town that you're in. I think it's in Salem. It takes place in Salem, Massachusetts. So there's a lot of more backstory in the terms of the town, in terms like the witch trials and things like that. It has that, gothic look to it, and you learn about the protagonist more in depth by picking up items throughout the whole game, and you get a lot of backstory in terms of himself and his wife, who's also passed away in the game as well, and you just pretty much get a whole lot of characterization through that, and through also the game as well as you play. Not the greatest game out there. There's like one enemy type in the game, and that's it. Reminds me of Deadly Premonition in a way, how there's a pretty decent story with decent characters that even though the gameplay is not all that great, but you play through it just to see how it ends and how these characters develop. That's what it reminded me of, even though the combat is a little bit better in Deadly Premonition. Not great, but it's like I mentioned, one enemy type is basically you can either sneak past them or just take them out. There's kind of like these kind of demons that suck your soul, that kind of meandering around, and you just have to avoid their line of sight and run away and hide between these kind of ghostly spirits that are left in order to avoid them. So there's some stealth there, but that's really all the combat is in the game. Everything else is, like I mentioned, you examining certain crime scenes that are relevant to the main story, in terms of finding out who killed them, why, and everything else that is associated there that you'll find out more later on in the story in the game. There's also side quests as well. You can also help out other people that died and became ghosts and have them cross over. There's some pretty good side stories there that are pretty touching. And you see them, there's like this light come upon them, and then they just kind of float away into the light, passing over. There's some pretty genuinely sweet moments in there that you help them out as you're solving your own mystery. And it has an interesting premise and lore to it. When you die, whatever you're good at or your skills were, they're kind of enhanced as you're a ghost. So as him as the main protagonist, I'm trying to remember his name. I can't believe I forgot. But he's a cop, so he's good at detective work. So his skills have been enhanced as he's a ghost, and you kind of put together pieces of a crime scene, and you're kind of seeing them unfold. It has a little bit of the elements like in Batman Arkham Origins, how you're putting together a crime scene and you're seeing it play out as you find all the clues in a certain area. And that's pretty much it. I mean, it's a pretty simple, straightforward game. It's a more an adventure game than anything else, and it's definitely those. I think it was very underrated. It's an underrated game out there. I like seeing those.
Airtight Studios seems like the developers that just missed being the next big thing, where they had Dark Void, which was really cool looking action game where it was a mix between the Rocketeer, the weird sci-fi elements, where they had I think like the Bermuda Triangle, and they had like Nikola Tesla as your Alfred. And then,
right.
And a cover system, and it apparently just didn't gel well enough together. And then they did Quantum Conundrum, and I think some other ones. And then this one, Murdered Soul Suspect. It just apparently didn't really turn out to be. You ain't nothing. You ain't nothing, and it just. It just seems like these guys. I like the fact that they kept on doing new IPs. They went for different things that were not really the big go-to games. Like they could have done a Call of Duty ripoff, they could have done a Halo or a Half-Life ripoff, but they decided to do something different. Like with Dark Void, it was an action game based around the idea of a jetpack, and then with Murdered Soul Suspects, it's this point and click crime game, or not really point and click, but a slower paced crime game like LA Noire, which sold very well, but it's not that wasn't exactly the barn burner of the genres out there. And I gotta say, I give them credit where credit's due. They're trying to do something new.
Right, and I definitely I definitely could see where they were coming from and give him a whole lot of credit for it. Even though the game wasn't the most well polished game out there, I liked the premise. It was interesting, an interesting idea, something new. You're being a ghost and solving your own crimes. I like that. I like that a lot. And just there's a whole lot of detail that I haven't really got into as well with the side quests and other things you do. You can listen to like we mentioned with like Absolution. It also has a lot of different NPC dialogue that you can overhear, and you can also manipulate objects and kind of possess other NPCs and kind of listening, like reading their minds and listening what they're thinking, and you use that mechanic in order to solve a few crimes and side quests as well. If there was a bit more content to it in terms of like what you're doing instead of, because there are some parts that are definitely repetitive, but I didn't really care because I really liked the story and the characters enough to kind of play through it. If they had it seemed like might have been a bit rushed on it, because there is definitely some parts in there that are kind of rough. NPCs walking through walls, and don't even use that excuse because you think they're dead. They're not. You can tell between humans and ghosts, and those people that were walking through walls that were not ghosts. I can tell you that. So what
if they're just in limbo?
And they only had like one walking pattern, so you stand there, you can watch them there, like they just walk across. It wasn't a big environment. You can watch in circles for all you know. That's pretty much it. That's their whole character animation and pattern. Just them walking around in this park, around and around, and he does not stop. Sometimes they may go through a wall too. So it's small things like that, but. It's definitely worth playing for not full price, but if you can find it on eBay like I did for $20, I think it's a fair enough amount to pay for that game for what you get. It's not a very long game, but it definitely left an impression on me on the potential of what could have been if they maybe had more time to maybe put some more things to do in there in terms of. Just the overall main mechanics and gameplay of that game. If they added a bit more to it, maybe a bit more detail in terms of like the combat interactions they have in the game, it might have been something special there.
It sounds like one of those games where the concept and ideas around it is much, much better than the execution. Where it looks like that maybe they didn't have enough time, or maybe they didn't have the manpower, or or just the finances to back all of it up, and it's too bad because Soul Suspect looked like a pretty interesting game.
Yeah, nevertheless, if you can get it for cheap or for free, I mean, definitely play it. I don't know if it runs any better on the new consoles, or I don't know if it's on PC, but I played it on the 360 and it was pretty rough. Like there were some parts where I would say not even some parts. It was a good chunk of that game. Like I'd probably say about 60-70%. Like just walking through the town, it's just the frames would drop like crazy. It was like I was like watching it. It feels like I was watching a YouTube video. Like it was just stutters. It was crazy.
Where it suddenly bursts down to 144p.
Not to that level, but it was just like it was just like drop frames really bad.
Oof, that's the worst.
But it didn't interfere with the gameplay. It was mainly an aesthetic and visual issue that I couldn't stand it. It's like just you would go walking from one location to the other to get to the next main mission, and you just had to go through that. It was just so rough some parts. Other than that, I definitely would still recommend it.
It's c'est la vie, as if anything, maybe people can look back fondly and maybe make it something like Enslaved, Odyssey to the West, or Majin, The Forbidden Kingdom, and try to make it maybe a cult hit.
Requiesca in Pace.
Right.
Yeah. Other than that, I finally finished playing the second Phoenix Wright game on my continuing journey to play through the main Phoenix Wright games. I finished the second one, Justice for All. I love that series a lot. It's so cool. If you can look past like the obviously just ridiculous and convoluted story, like I mean, I wouldn't say the story, like it's just mainly if you can look past like the realm of disbelief in terms of how the court proceedings go, you'll enjoy it a lot. It's very well written, fun, endearing Japanese game there. A lot of the things that go on in the court is obviously not what actually happens, because people just change their stories so much in that game when you're like trying to figure out a crime to solve, and when you're pressing witnesses for like statements and getting their statements on what happened in the crime. They're always changing stories for whatever reason, so it's so crazy. And the judge is always is an older guy, is like kind of senile, and always like he may root for like the people, like the person that actually did it, because she's a cute sweet chick, and he's like, oh, I understand. And he's always changing his mind. He's so crazy.
Stop thinking with your wiener for one damn second, Judge.
It's a fun series. I can't wait to play the newer game that came out for the 3DS, is the Dual Destinies, and they're also going to have like a crossover with Professor Layton. Exactly. I'm excited for that. That series is so good. It's a bit of both here. It's visual novel and point and click, but mostly visual novel, and that's what I love about it. It's just so simple game. It's a good stuff there. That's all I've been playing. All I've been playing for the 3DS is that, even though that game is a DS game, I've been playing that on my 3DS.
That's one of those series that I've always been interested in, but never got into just because I didn't have a 3DS. And now I hear it's on the iPhone and the iPad, and I don't know if maybe it will actually be better if I just play it on a 3DS eventually one day when I get one. But saving up for that, saving those Dolores. But just thinking maybe I can play Phoenix Wright just because I'm interested, just because I love courtroom dramas. I love the whole request for discovery thing. The different steps that you interviewing. I was a big fan of LA Noire, so maybe this is right up my alley. And I especially like Phoenix, because the developers of those games did a Phoenix Wright version of Harvey Birdman, which is it was for the Wii and I think the PS2, and that was just I was just watching some of the gameplay. It's like, listen, you thought that Phoenix Wright was crazy, just like wait until you actually like bring in the Harvey Birdman universe, just because that's crazy.
I gotta play that. Yeah, definitely, dude. If you ever get a chance, definitely play it. I mean, I did play. I think I might have told the story. I played that game, the first game, about. I think I played that game about like 2 or 3 times on different platforms. Like the first time I played it was on my laptop and like emulator. So there's definitely emulators out there. You're probably better off either doing that, the emulators, or getting it on iOS. I played that on the iOS and it plays fine. I mean, it's not a whole lot you can. There's not a whole lot you can do with that. I mean, it's pretty simple. It's like all you're doing is just pointing and clicking on things. So that definitely works for iOS. So I know that those games are. I don't think all the games are on there, but there's at least the first one is worth giving a shot to play it on the iOS or DS or 3DS. If you have one, it's definitely worth playing it. You'll definitely enjoy that first one.
It's that one, and was it Ghost Trick that I want to look at, where it's that's actually kind of like Soul Suspect.
I know. I was after I beat that second game, I was looking at what other games the director did, and that was one of them that I saw. Ghost Trick. It had a lot of definitely similarities to the Murdered Soul Suspect. So I probably will like that a lot too.
And it's just. I do like that kind of the Phoenix Wright series, even just from afar. I'm like, yeah, this seems like my kind of series, so I will get iOS 2.
Right. I'm excited to actually see the movie too. I know that they had a movie come out, the Phoenix Wright movie.
Oh, yeah, and they got it's the guy who did 13 Assassins.
Yeah,
I should know this guy.
But yeah, basically the movie, from what I've heard, it takes a couple of cases from the first game and it puts it in the movie. So if you see the movie, you'll kind of almost play the game too. So they take some cases in there and it's in the movie. So I'm very excited to see that.
It's Takashi Miike, who it was in Battle Royale, and he's this weird, this interesting, not weird, but very, very interesting and talented Japanese creator, writer,
cool.
Everything, Renaissance man. And I did see, apparently, like, the reviews are really good for the Phoenix Wright movie, where it's like, it is like, despite the fact that the hairstyle, like, they didn't, like, how in the X-Men movies they kind of tone down the look of Wolverine when he's not wearing his helmet, so it's like the hairstyle doesn't exactly look as ridiculous as it does in the comic books, but they just went like full-blown crazy with the wigs, where it's just like they're wearing like realistic costumes, then like the wigs are just like Super Saiyan 3 level of just like poofiness.
Yeah, I mean, you either do it or you don't, and they went all out for that. I can't imagine how they would do like a Yu-Gi-Oh movie with that hair. That Yu-Gi-Oh hair is crazy.
I would like to see a David Fincher Yu-Gi-Oh movie. It's the really dark and brooding story about children playing card games for the future of the world.
Believe in the heart of the cards.
Once you look at the severed head in a box.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing. A twisted version of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Cards. But anyway, yes, I hear that the Phoenix Wright movie is really, really good. I hope they adapt it, and it is like very much like Snowpiercer and gets a good word of mouth going, and people just start loving it.
Definitely, that's definitely another movie that on my list to check out. I got a lot of movies on my Netflix queue to see, and that's definitely one. I know it's not on Netflix, but I'm definitely gonna see that movie. And a bit more. I'm probably gonna delve into the realm of more foreign films and some anime. I saw a couple episodes of the Netflix anime. I think it was the Knights of Shinodia, I believe it's called. It's like the Netflix original anime. Actually, they got a lot going there, but there's some original shows going on Netflix.
They are branching out. It's not just one thing, because they had like comedy series. They have Hemlock Grove. They got Orange is the New Black, and whatever. What was the
House of Cards?
House of Cards. I keep on getting that confused with the David Mamet film, which is House of Games, which is that was a good movie too. But I've heard nothing but great things about House of Cards and just how dark and cynical it is. Like, oh yes, of course David Fincher is going to be directing this one.
I'm confusing it also with the Don Cheadle show. Does that have a similar name too?
Yeah, it's something like a similar tone where he's, I guess, a fixer for politicians, where it's like cards of house. It's like if you have the words house, cards, and of, there's like 10 different shows on where it's sharing the same title.
Probably, yeah. But yeah, those have been the main games I've got to play, and during the time since we last spoke, those were the main ones I've been playing. Like I mentioned, I've been looking to get into House of Lies is that show. looking to get into more games I have on my 3DS. I got a whole bunch of them that I'm probably gonna play, since there's not much out, really, to be honest. I also did play a little bit of Dark Souls 2 before we talked. Playing a little bit of that New Game Plus. I know there's new DLC for it. I'm probably not going to play it. I've already had my fill of Dark Souls 2, but it's bringing me right back again. I'm replaying it in the New Game Plus. It's a whole nother level of just misogyny. A lot of misogyny going on here.
You glutton for punishment.
Masochist, actually, not misogyny. There's no He-Man woman haters game. I'm not talking about that.
I was about to say, you're not playing the Chris Brown DLC on Dark Souls 2, are you?
Oh man, yeah.
I don't care how many years it's been. He still deserves all the vitriol.
I don't care, but yes, good stuff.
I actually do know 2 games that we haven't talked about yet.
What?
That we both played.
What are they? What are those, Mr. Gorog?
The last episode of the first season of The Wolf Among Us.
Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot about that. It's just like it's been so long. It feels like it's been so long since like we played that, and also since we talked. So I just I guess I forget about that. And then there's the Walking Dead too.
Yeah, and the 4th episode of The Walking Dead. And so why don't we give our thoughts on? Do you want to start on The Wolf Among Us so we can then do episode 4 of Walking Dead?
Well, we'll do that. I'll start this off because I guess we're probably gonna go around branching parts of what happened in that 5th episode. A good episode. That Bloody Mary fight scene was amazing.
Oh yeah,
that was some good stuff. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much we're gonna delve into it. It's so story oriented. So I mean, I figure we'll discuss it at this point. You know, I mean, it is what it is. If you don't want to listen to some spoilers, I'll probably put it in the show notes when we'll talk about something else that's not spoilers. But we'll do that. So I'll start that off. I like that part a lot. There's a lot to it, man. I'm trying to remember and accumulate some thoughts here. I would definitely say that at some point when you confronted the Crooked Man in front of everybody else, Fabletown, there's definitely some part of me there. Like, I don't know if it was his good talking or manipulation skills, but he made some good points. He definitely made some good points.
Yeah, it was. To give my overall opinions, I thought this was an excellent ending to the season of The Wolf Among Us. I think I actually like it more than the first season of The Walking Dead, where I didn't think that would be possible just because of the emotional core that it hit with me. But I really like this one because for me, I think what the entire theme of the game is dealing with a community, with like individuals, and what's the good of the community, and how do you proceed? Do you follow the rules? Do you break them to protect the community? And this one, goes right to the heart of that with the Crooked Man, where so I definitely recommend getting it. Yeah. Where towards the end, he talks to everybody, all the characters that you've met in the story, and confronts them on all their things. And he's not technically guilty of anything, but there's like still this sort of air of he's manipulating. Everybody knows he's manipulating, but they don't have any evidence. So what do you do? And it's this very give and take morality play. And for me, I did something what I thought was the right, quote unquote, right thing to do.
Rip his head off.
I'm sorry?
Rip his head off.
I was close to that. I was very, very close to that. Where, I think they give that one, that scene, the moral, conflictions right there, and then just like, before we do that, let's get all of your aggression out. Here's the Bloody Mary fight. Just beat the snot out of her, because she has been just no pun intended, hounding you since her introduction in I think the 3rd episode, where she just like wants to kick your ass so much, and you just want to give it right back because she is just a total B word.
Yeah, like her. I mean, your confrontation with her and everything leading up to that moment was very, very satisfying. Once you unravel kind of everything that's been going on, and it definitely got to that point there. Like I brought up earlier with Crooked Man bringing up some very good points there about everybody else. All he did was mainly assisted them and provided them what they needed, but also there's also some definitely manipulation going on, which also doesn't really excuse exactly what he's done as well. But it definitely got to that point where I was like, I really couldn't decide. It really got to that. It got to that point where it's like it was so gray. Like it wasn't really any good or bad. Like what he kind of did. I mean, it got very to that gray area.
Well, especially I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it was that, and then and also, I mean, beating the beast are kind of the blame too. I mean, they spend it and they spend it beyond their means.
Yeah,
they couldn't.
They live in a damn nice apartment, and then there's like, oh, we got money problems. Like, are you kidding me? Like, do you understand like how expensive like this apartment is in New York? Like, Bigby's little like one room studio apartment. That's his bathroom, kitchen, bedroom, main room. Like, even in New York, that would be expensive. Like, what are you doing in this lavish palace-looking place? And you complain about money.
So we had that, we had that confrontation. We were kind of sentencing him to. Everyone wanted him sentenced to death, throw him down the wishing well. Kind of the way I've been playing as Bigby throughout the whole season was mainly a guy who's just we started as fresh. Everybody else started fresh when they moved to New York, and under this idea of living amongst the Mundys. And I've been playing Bigby as the guy who's just looking to make things right, redeem himself from what he's done in the past, start new and fresh, not be very very violent guy to everybody, just kind of trying to be the best sheriff he can. That's how kind of I played them, and I just ultimately ended up imprisoning the Crooked Man. For me, that was what I did. It didn't kill him. We imprisoned him and couldn't get out. Was there an option to let him go or anything like that, or just either kill him, or imprison him? I think that's were the only options.
It was rip his head off, throw him in the witching well, throw him under a bus, throw him into a river, shoot him in the head. It was just the three options of kill him, throw him in the witching well, rip his head off, or imprison him. And I don't know if I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think imprisoning him was good enough for me. Even though he tried to kill me, I still spared him that ultimately brutal death that I've seen in other Let's Plays. I imprisoned them, and then we had that. So that's what you did as well. We went that route as well. You imprisoned
them. It was still that weird area where I didn't know how to feel about him.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I don't know, like, if you wait too long with the three options, he grabs you and then tries to throw you in the witching well, or I think he tries to grab. I can't remember but essentially he's trying to kill you before you throw him in the witching well. Yeah. And for me, that was just like, ooh. It was just like the scene in Black Dynamite. Ooh, fiendish Dr. Wu, you done fucked up now. But I decided, this will not set a good example if I just, if we imprison him, technically he's not guilty of anything. Georgie Porgy, we don't, because of how his story ended, we don't know how far the Crooked Man's manipulation went in terms of it being a misunderstanding, or if it was just or if it was a direct order, because there's no conflicting evidence except for that one bit towards the end where Ariel, the Little Mermaid, comes in and she says something and then comes back later and says, yeah, I might have been exaggerating the truth a little bit. And that just whew, thank goodness I chose that option, just because you told me you have evidence and now you don't have evidence.
She basically lied, I think, because I don't know I don't know whether or not the spell thing is still in effect, but she was wearing that bow tie around her neck, and I don't think you can tell the truth when you're wearing that. So she worded it in a way that, well, basically I don't think it mostly was the truth, but it was heading towards that. It was similar to. It was heading towards that line, she may have, exaggerated what happened, but ultimately what happened. But she kind of, worded it in a way so that it seemed like it was a direct order from him. But that was definitely also a turn there at that very last part. And then we had the the whole Georgie Porgy segment. basically, him having no choice but to kill Faith, I believe. And yeah. And then was it Rebecca, that the other Georgie Porges' girl accomplice?
Yeah. I think that her name was Vivian.
Vivian, yeah.
And with the whole, she was the one who started the necktie being, a deadly
kind of spell,
serrated bow.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it went in your gameplay, but spoilers. Don't listen. We already spoiled the ending for you. I don't know what else you want, but for my gameplay, she kills herself.
Yeah, that went the same for me. I think that's inevitable, whatever path you take. I think.
And Georgie, he's bleeding out. He's not going to live very long. And I think the spell is broken with the bow ties, with the bows, just because she's gone now. So all the other girls can tell the truth now. But Georgie, I just felt sorry for him because he was bleeding out. Like, everything that he loves is gone. And yeah, I didn't destroy his bar before, but his den of smut, as Rorschach may put it. But he's he didn't deserve being betrayed like that, and I just felt like, I'll just kill him real quick and just be done with it, so he doesn't have a painful death.
I mean, I didn't tear up his bar originally either, and by that point I was a little bit sympathetic towards him. He was still an asshole, but he was definitely a pawn in this whole thing. It's not right what he did, but I understand he had to do what he had to do, I guess, to protect her, Vivian. And yeah, I'm still not sure whether or not that spell's broken. I'm thinking it's tied to each bow. I don't think it's maybe tied to just one person. I personally may think that, but I don't know. I'm like, whenever you try to make moves to take off that bow from the wrist, I think she still refuses, or is a bit hesitant about it. So it may still be in effect. I don't know. And so we had that conclusion, and then the whole Bloody Mary. That's mainly the three highlights. So it was Bloody Mary, the demise of Porgy Georgie, and then we had the decision of the Crooked Man, and then the very last part. The very one that I'm still thinking of to this day, that just left me going, what the fuck happened here? I think this is one of the maybe small faults to maybe the way they put out these games, in a kind of a couple month basis, that you forget some parts of what happened in the first episode, and it just it just made me want to play the first episode to see if what happened or what was said ties to what happened at the end, which I'm sure it does, but I just want to see exactly what was that point where once you realize it, that it's like, oh man, and that was the point. But it basically, she says a few lines of dialogue that was referenced from the very first episode from Faith. I'm trying to remember what the exact line was, but it basically leads us to believe a whole lot of things. I'm still not quite sure, but it leads you to believe that maybe Nerissa was glamored as Faith in the beginning of the first game. Faith may have been already dead at that point, but she may have been glamored as her when you first see her in the first episode, in order to, I guess, in order to lead to this branching path to Big B investigating what was going on with the Crooked Man, and ultimately bring him down after Faith's demise, and just Nerissa being devastated to lose her friend.
What's interesting is that Nerissa is very separate of the other people at the Pudding and Pie. That she meets Big B alone. The only time she's ever really in a group is with at Pudding and Pie is when Crane is going through all their stuff.
Right.
She goes to see him alone, and then she meets up, and then she comes out in the last moment with like the vital piece of evidence. I have a feeling she might be working for another crime lord, and just trying to get rid of the Crooked Man.
Ultimately, she played us, kind of.
She them dames.
She played us like a violin.
Oh my god, it's just so crime and noir are just such a great genre for for this for these types of episodes, just because I love just like the cliffhangers, subverting genre tropes, and and sometimes playing them straight, and it's so much fun. And
yeah, I mean that very few minutes were really good. I mean, the conversation you had with her, and then just ultimately what was left there with that kind of cliffhanger here. That's how you really do a cliffhanger. Not like Assassin's Creed cliffhangers, just leave you hanging. But this one was actually done well because they wrapped up mostly everything that the first episode started off with, where you were trying to figure out what the whole story was and how everything led to the Crooked Man in the end, with just that one murder of Faith that kind of was shedded on in the spotlight by Narissa, which probably it could have gone unresolved if she didn't maybe intervene and stated earlier that she put her head on his doorstep to kind of get the thread going to unsolve this whole mystery and this whole thread of just a lot of things going on in Fabletown that he had no idea of, like the underground, it was like the black market potions and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. All leading up to that, and I could definitely see maybe something to that effect maybe could be working for somebody else that ultimately want to take the Crooked Man down.
It is, it's great that they have opened up this universe to more plot lines and whatever, and more story ideas for future, but they really tie up this particular one, which is Big B and the murder of Faith, and just solving that murder and why and who was involved. Like, that was the most important thing. Yeah. And then everything else, like, that it was added to it, like, oh, okay, this could open up for interesting sequels, or why is Narissa acting so strange? And then that could be opened up for a season 2 of Wolf Among Us. I certainly hope so, because I love this season. But they answer the main questions of this season, and I'm looking, and and they add these little extra tidbits in case they want to revisit some other stuff in a sequel.
Exactly, and reading some of the comics as well, I can definitely see that there's possibilities for some characters that are introduced in those comics that are in the game, but there's definitely some of those there that could be tied into the second season possibly. Won't say much, but it's definitely possible. Other than that, I mean, I'm normally not a fan of how they maybe promote something at the very end, like the worst example of promoting like maybe something to buy was Mass Effect 3, that original ending after you beat it. It's like Commander Shepard's now a legend. If you want to continue that legend, go ahead and buy this DLC. It's like, what the fuck? That pissed me off so bad. But like, just seeing like, hey, they're the Fable comics. If you want to go ahead and read them, they're available now. I was like, hey, I mean, that's good. That's good for me. I mean, the lore was good. It got me interested in that. And hell is as much as I hated that, I mean, it did get me to read the comics. So that's a good example on how to do it. If it's good stuff that leads to other good stuff, then I'm good.
Yeah, I've read the first volume of the Fable comics where Big B's investigating it looks like an attempted murder. They don't know, and I like that, and they kept very much in the same tone and the same manner of the comic book style, which is just fantastic. And I'm really looking forward to see what they do with Game of Thrones.
Oh, I am so excited about that. Seeing what could be done. There's a lot that could be done.
First Man.
Yeah, I mean, the story wise, I'm sure it'll be great. Like, even though like the gameplay wasn't the greatest, but the other Game of Thrones game from Atlas, the story was really good. Gameplay wasn't the greatest. It wasn't terrible, but it was good enough. Like I mentioned, like if a game, I think it's really tough. Like it depends on the game. If the story is good enough, you can get through the lowest parts of the gameplay. You get through the story. Ultimately, in some cases, the story does lend itself a lot to make you bear through the not the greatest parts of gameplay to get through it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And that the Wolf Among Us, it was a pretty great season overall. The only minor complaint was episode 4. It was episode 4. It could have been definitely cut out from that season, and it ultimately would have been a pretty good season overall. Episode 4 really lacked a lot for me. It just it really wasn't that necessary. I think that's the problem. If they went to a different model instead of working on it periodically through the process and just put out the work on it for about a year and a half and actually just put them out, I think that's probably better, just so they can polish everything up.
Well, I think the lag between episodes is to address criticisms from to give themselves enough time to address criticisms from previous episodes.
Right. Yeah.
Like the people complained about the lack of action in I think it was episode 1 or 2 of The Walking Dead. So no, it was episode 2, and then so they put a little bit more action in episode 3, and it's kind of like the Charles Dickens when he was putting out his stuff in the newspapers. He'd release piecemeal by piecemeal, listen to the feedback, and then adjust accordingly. And sometimes I think that's I totally see your point of view, and I agree with that. Where it can be aggravating to wait for that long, and those little flashbacks like in the previously ons at the beginning, they don't do them enough justice because there's just so much detail and in terms of the choices you make of what you say and what you do, which the previously ons don't really have full context of.
Right.
So I don't know. I can't think of a better method for them to do. But
yeah, I hear you. I mean, the way they're doing it is fine. It's just it's definitely possible. They can definitely see episode 4 and expand upon that and put some extra polish on maybe future titles like Game of Thrones and in the next Walking Dead season. It's definitely acknowledged that. So we're not left with like an episode that it could have been cut from the cutting room floor here and just kind of had that finale for episode 4 instead of having an episode 5. But nevertheless, it was a great season overall. It blew you right away, that first episode, and just it got you really interested in terms of the lore and everything else. There's just so much to expand upon that hasn't been played out yet in the game. So there's definitely a lot there for future seasons and titles. So I would definitely look forward to that.
I would just like to. I was a little bit disappointed in the length of episode 4. It could have been cut out and nothing would be missed. I think a lot of smaller stuff like the Jersey Devil fight where you're with Woody and he kind of redeems himself, and the moments with Tiny Tim, it does feel too short for that episode. It does feel like they kind of stretched it out for the sake of padding it out, but I feel like that one wasn't a complete loss. I do feel like that one was kind of the weak of the bunch, but it did set up a lot of interesting stuff in terms of building up the Crooked Man and just kind of connecting a lot of things to pay off in episode 5. But I'm kind of talking out of my ass right now because I get that general feeling because I can't remember because it's been so long since I played episode 4 that I got to go back and play through it all again.
No, I mean, I see what you're saying. I remember snippets of it, of episode 4. It's not the most memorable, but I remember those snippets. Like you said, with Tiny Tim, Jersey Devil. Was episode 4 also the one where you investigate Crane's apartment, or was that 3?
Which one were you talking about?
Was episode 4 the one where it might have been the one previously, but you go into Crane's apartment.
That one 3. Was episode 2, I think.
Really? Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm way off. But
it's hard to remember because it's been so long since you played the entire thing through.
Yeah. I might actually probably replay it again in the future. Just play it all in one go and see how that goes. But yeah, episode 4. Yeah, like you mentioned. Now that I think about it, it's not a complete waste. It could have probably been. It could have been in episode 5. I would have been fine with that, just to make that a little bit longer. But yeah, nevertheless, it's good. It's probably my favorite game that Telltale's put out. I would probably go out and say that. It's set up a lot of interesting ideas in seasons to come. So I love what they've done with that. The look of it, the characters, and everything else is all good. Now that I think about it, what did you? I kind of felt bad for Toad, even though I can't feel bad for him too much because I gave him money and he didn't fulfill his end of the bargain and support his son and get some cash to pony up on some glamour.
No, I gave him every break. Like listen, go get your glamour. That's the law. Listen, go get your glamour. Here's money. Go get it. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I felt bad for Toad Jr. just because, like, listen, your dad's kind of a heel. I'm sorry, but nothing I can do. I really felt sorry for, Colin being just sent off to the farm, and, it's like, listen, you crashed at my place, you defended me, but the fact of the matter is that, you don't have a glamour. I gotta uphold the status of what I'm doing, so, as, sheriff, so you gotta get sent away.
Right. Let me just take a quick break here. I'm getting a call here. Just a moment.
No worries. I got to use El Baño for 1 second.
All right. We'll take a quick break, folks. other than the, so yeah, we're back, folks. That was a terrible comeback here from that break. I was trying to like continue on the conversation like we didn't take a break, but that was not the best thing to do. That's probably, I gotta re-edit that. But anyways, folks,
no worries.
We're back.
Hello.
So is there anything else that you wanted to bring up about? Oh, we were talking about Toad actually.
Yeah.
I mean,
Colin.
Yeah, I can't feel too bad about him. We gave him a bunch of chances, and ultimately it was up to him to, be the dad, and he fortunately failed to do that. I feel bad for what's his name? His son. His son is so
Toad Jr. TJ.
TJ is so you can't you can't hate that kid. He's there's nothing to hate about him. He's just so innocent. That's what.
Yeah.
He leaves that impression on you.
But like The Walking Dead, in terms of how they build their characters, he's not just a child, and they say, "Oh, feel sorry for him because he's a child." They actually develop him as a character. They make him very naive, like not really totally understanding of the adult world of like double meanings and lies, and just one of my favorite scenes when Toad's confronted about having the coat from Donkey Skin Girl, and TJ just goes like, "Dad likes to borrow Dad likes to take stuff from people who just leave," and then his father just looks at him and goes, "Sometimes." And he's an innocent kid, and there's a lot of stuff forced upon him. So you kind of have to choose, like, how much do I want to envelop this kid in this really dark world that I'm in?
Yeah.
And I'm sad for him to go off to the farm. But hopefully. I haven't read I hear nothing but like the farm is not a good place from both the video game and the first volume of the comic book series, so I doubt they're gonna have a fun time there, but
yeah, I haven't gotten as far as to actually kind of seeing what it's like over there, but yeah, at least we gave him a little bit of optimism there. There's a big pool of water out there for him to swim in and not be worried about being exposed, so that's something for him. Hopefully he makes it out there. He's a good kid. I hope he keeps that chin up there. He'll be all right.
He certainly deserves a father who, I don't know. His dad loves him. It's obvious that he's just absolutely, defending the kid, and he loves him. But just come on, he just needs a little bit more common sense.
Yeah, he just makes bad decisions. That's really his only fault. But he does love his son a lot. You definitely see that you saw that from the first episode, I believe, first or second.
Oh yeah, where he wants the best for his kid, but sometimes he's selfish and greedy and just not a very good person.
Yeah, but
or Frog in this case.
Oh, Frog. But yeah, good stuff from The Wolf Among Us. I like that a lot.
Oh yeah.
How much did you want to get into on the episode 4 of Walking Dead? We got that going there. That's still going on. People actually got confused with that being the last episode, but there's still one more to go. Especially the way that last one ended. I'm definitely interested in seeing how this one ends this season. If they ever make it to, hopefully we get to see Krista or something. I don't know.
Someone was saying, I think people got confused of whether or not this was the last season, because season 2 of The Walking Dead was released in tangent with The Wolf Among Us. So people thought like, oh, okay, this gets an episode, this gets an episode, and people thought like, oh, Wolf Among Us is ending. That means this season of The Walking Dead must be ending. And it's a weird logic, but people have connected to Stranger Things, and I think this is going to follow in the footsteps of the first season of The Walking Dead, where for season 3 you get to play as the baby, because we need to keep going progressively younger and more innocent, so we can destroy that innocence immediately.
Yeah, I love doing that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, innocence. I'm sorry?
That innocence.
Yeah, and the episode 4 is essentially the group is no longer at the supermarket safe haven. They are still on the road. They're now sort of separated from what they just did, and you get to find out a lot more of the survivors and kind of their true nature and how they see each other. And this one was a lot more distressing for me than I think I would than I first admitted, just because I can't not talk about spoilers. So let me just say right up front, I think this is a good episode of the game. Go get it. You'll love. I don't know if I love it as much as the first season, but I definitely think it's still quality.
Yeah.
And this one just really got me because you had. I'm forgetting her name. The girl who just lost her father.
We had Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah. Where I was trying to string her along and think like, okay, maybe she's gonna be like Ben, where she's a bit of a coward. She causes more damage than I think she's really willing to admit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like maybe there's just that silver lining of she can make an emotional attachment and make the group better. But then I try to. It just didn't work out, and she dies violently, screaming for her father, and it's just that one just got me. And it was I can't remember which character who was talking to me who said like, yeah, maybe it's best just to let her go, because sometimes some people can't be saved, and I'm very naive, think nope, everyone can be saved. I can save everyone. I've played Mass Effect 2. I know how to save everyone.
No, if only. This ain't a suicide mission.
And I'm still waiting for Thane to show up around here somewhere with Garrus.
Yeah. I mean that definitely got me too. Not like in the sense that it wasn't one of those things that it was bound to happen. It wasn't something that we could have prevented, even though we kind of tried, even though we kind of had some sort of maybe some sort of hope that she may turn around and kind of see things as how they are, instead of kind of being in her own world there, and being kind of raised to believe that everything's all right just for the sake of for her sanity. And then once that all kind of crumbled around her, it was just it was pretty rough. It was kind of rough for her departure there. And we also, I mean, since we've already talked about that, we had also some other deaths go on as well that I don't know how I felt about them, and whether they could have done more with that, or it was just maybe just the nature of that game in the world is just like abrupt. Like you're not gonna get this 5-minute long talking farewells and goodbyes while they're bound to die, like we got with Lee, and that was natural progression with that. But he also ended up losing the other guy too. I forgot his name. So many characters, hard to keep up.
You lose Nick.
You lose Nick.
Yeah, who's just like that one was crushing too. Where it was just you all are separated, and you think like, okay, if some characters don't come back, they're just like, oh, we don't know where they are. It's like Nick is just a zombie when you see him in the gate, and you're like, oh crap. And then when you try to kill him, you're just like cacking off his face, like, oh shit, no. And that's just sad. And Sarita, Kenny's girlfriend, that one was crushing. That's just it's one thing after another.
We had to do it, Kenny. Did you go to get to that part? Like, it was very early on in the beginning. Like, you had no choice but to kill her, right?
Which one?
In the beginning, like with Sarita, you. Oh. Was that an option there, or did you have to do it? Because I think I saw, like, how it gets close to, to death, like you had to do something that goes like the corners of the screen turn red, and I think it was something you had to do. I don't think it was an option. I was like, oh, crap.
Yeah, you're right. It was one of those moments where you had to kill her.
Yeah, because I did it out of reaction. I was like, oh crap, could I have avoided that? And then Kenny got all pissed off at me, like, oh damn, now I feel bad.
it's never easy. Because what did you do? Because I just tried to cut off her arm from the get-go.
So did I. Yeah, it seemed to work. It seemed to work for Herschel, and that's the only basis I can go off of. It didn't work for Lee because he didn't cut it off right away. There was too much time in between that. But from what I've learned from the Walking Dead show, from the seasons that I have seen, and it seemed to have worked.
Yeah, it would.
But it didn't work out well. She was just in utter shock and pain, and that didn't help because the zombies were all over the place. So they were bound to grab her regardless. So it didn't turn out as well as we hoped it would. It ended up being a lot worse for her. Actually, she got her arm cut off and getting eaten by zombies. It was not good. Not good at all.
No. Yeah, jeez. I keep on being surprised at how much my innocence can be just slowly whittled away. Moment by moment, scene by scene, where you have just these personal moments of emotional betrayal, not just from the game, where it's just I thought like Sarita, like, oh, I'll cut off her arm and she'll be fine, and then she's like, you cut off her arm, she screams and then attracts the other walkers, and then she just gets set upon. And then one of the personal betrayals that I felt playing as Clementine, because I thought like, okay, they're obviously a big age difference, but maybe Clementine and Luke can have just like a kind of young romance. Then she goes, and then you find out like, oh, Luke just slept with Jane, so that's done.
They put the kibosh on that.
Clementine ain't gonna have no happiness whatsoever. So you just better get used to being alone.
I think playing a lot of Mass Effect has put our minds in a mode that we can do anything in terms of making things turn around and hopefully having some choice in the matter. But they want none of that in The Walking Dead. You think you could save somebody? Maybe, but it ain't gonna happen the way that you think it's gonna happen.
If you do think you can save somebody, you're just setting them up for a much more devastating death later.
That's what I got out of it. I think out of a mistake, because I wasn't paying attention. When I was playing the 4th episode of Walking Dead, I was actually streaming that when I was playing it for the first time, and I was like looking at the chat room, and then I got distracted at some parts, especially that part with Sarah. I think I hit the wrong button, and I just decided to just leave her, and it's like, all right, I'm not even gonna bother. I just left her there, and then just saw her get eaten when she realized, oh shit, there's zombies here. Why don't I get up? Because I'm an idiot. I'm gonna get eaten.
That's one of the. I almost wish that there wasn't a button to press start and quit to main menu, because I am terrified of. Mass Effect has drilled into my head, like, if you mess up, you can always go back and save it and do something else, and nothing bad will happen. But I realize that in Telltale games, it's almost a learned condition that you now have to just realize, okay, whatever happens, just go with it, and you can only do what you can best at that time.
Yeah, and ultimately, I think that's a lot more better experience that way, rather than having that natural reaction to just stop what you're doing, reload a save, and do a different choice. Like, I think this is a lot more better and impactful that way. Just having it, you going with the flow and not worrying too much about what you do, and letting everything unfold and not really ruining it for you by replaying like right away, reloading a save. But I've certainly done it a lot with Mass Effect. It's just so much I was so into it at that time that I just wanted to make sure everybody lived. So,
and it wasn't one of these big scripted, like, you want to like the whole Morden storyline. I won't spoil what happens, but that one feels like they make you feel okay with the decisions that go on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know how I can explain it any better without spoiling more, both of Walking Dead and Mass Effect. So I won't get a twofer from fan flame mail. So let me just say that it's it feels a lot more natural with Telltale, because they have immediate choices, immediate decisions with immediate ramifications, and you can't always pick the best one.
Yeah. Just these games in general, what they've been putting out, been really good example of how to tell a really interesting story and having, giving you some illusion of choice, but even in the same time, you also get a little bit different scenes of dialogue and alternate ways they play out that they do give a good amount of slightly replayability value, and just the way, and also the way you talk about it as well. It's just I love that about their games. They're just not one outcome to every choice you make. It's all slightly different scenes and slightly different dialogues. So I like that a lot. That really puts in a lot of work to do in terms of how to write your way around those choices you make. I love that a lot.
It is all about choices, and even though you go through, and the mystique of the game comes through not knowing the future and making your choices based on what you know now and what choices you would make, and understanding what this character would do, and that being sort of the main driving force, and not really just like, oh, well, I know what this can do. If it's like, oh, if you side with this guy, this will happen. Like, oh, but if you side with him, then this will happen. It's just more, what would you do? You don't have any choice. You don't know where this is going. Choose.
Right. That type of narrative decision I like a lot too. That's been really been playing out pretty well with their games so far. I think I probably prefer that a lot more than the choosing between what you want and compared to what you are not sure of and what may be coming that you don't even know. So it's definitely two different types of ways to go about that choice kind of RPG mechanic that goes there. But I hope that there's definitely a lot more games that take that route rather than just having the maybe good and bad decisions, and having it be something that you choose this and you kind of get you're not sure what you're going to get out of it in return. And again, it lends itself well to kind of replaying it and also talking about it with others as well, and seeing what they chose and what different experiences they received and interpretations of that game as well. That's good stuff, man.
It is. I do like this season of The Walking Dead. I still don't know what really the theme is of this season, where the first one was, what is left of your humanity when humanity all around you is starting to evaporate. I don't know if this is kind of the same thing, or if it's kind of a different thing. I kind of have to wait until the end to see what it's really trying to say.
Yeah, I haven't really gotten that either. I've been trying to figure that out myself. It's really been like it has been the last season for the most part. It's been just surviving, really, and maybe getting some glimmer of hope that there's something out there that's at least better and doable than what they've been going through right now with going to, where were they going, to Wilmington or somewhere where Krista was supposed to be maybe going as well. It's like some type of safe haven.
I think Krista's dead.
Yeah.
I think she's the only one who got she was destroyed after her husband died.
Yeah,
and they mention that she's pregnant, and then you never see the baby, which means oh yeah, Omid and the baby out of her life means that she's gone.
Yeah,
she probably welcomes this, and I kind of don't blame her, just because who the hell would want to live in this world? Unless you were I don't know, the Hound from Game of Thrones, where it's oh, I love this.
Fucking the Hound.
Which makes me very, very excited for Game of Thrones. I'm looking forward to episode 5 of The Walking Dead. And I got a question for you, Splinter.
Yes.
If you could ask Telltale to make one franchise into a season that they haven't made already, what would you pick?
I actually thought about this before. I had a good idea originally. I can't remember what it was, but my other idea would be like I would love them to make a Phoenix Wright game, even though it's like from Capcom. But I would really love them to take the concept of Phoenix Wright and make it into what they've been doing with Walking Dead and Wolf Among Us, and the way that series plays, it definitely can blend itself well to the Telltale formula. So I would definitely love to see a season of Phoenix Wright by Telltale Games. I'm trying to remember. I know I suggested something. I actually just went a 24 game by Telltale. Imagine that. Imagine that.
Oh my god, that's brilliant.
I know they had a 24 game years ago for like PS2. It wasn't the greatest gameplay wise, but like just the whole idea and concept of it seemed like it was cool. I never actually played it, but I've seen some videos of it. Imagine that, man, a 24 game by Telltale. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome, and I can, it's they worked with the comic book aesthetics or like exaggerated character models, and I can definitely see a Jack Bauer version of himself in like a Wolf Among Us type of art style. That would be awesome.
It definitely would be. My other idea would be like a Steven Seagal game by Telltale. I mean, I gotta throw that out there.
Were you just slapping people with his ponytail of justice?
My love of Steven Seagal, it knows no bounds. I'm still pissed off that he's not in the Expendables 3.
What? Well, with Steven Seagal, yeah, he's in need for a. Well, he needs a revival, a respected revival. He needs his like own wrestler or Hulk Hogan, come back.
Maybe. I'd definitely be down for that. Well, what about you? You got any ideas of your type of game that you like Telltale to do?
I have two, and this comes from my desire. Like, they've done zombies, they've done fantasy. They're going to do kind of medieval lore with Game of Thrones. They're going to do action adventure sci-fi with Borderlands. I'm thinking of a Firefly video game.
Yeah,
where they would just
right. I'd be down for that.
Yeah, you got to make tough decisions as Mal, because hey, any more Fireflies, just all right with me. And then just thought like they could stretch that into a nice good season of them doing dastardly deeds and the moral ambiguity of Mal as he leads his crew. I like that. And then the other one is they haven't done really something lighthearted in a while, so I was thinking maybe they could, because they're very good writers there and they're very funny when they want to be comedic. I would like to see them do a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy Telltale game.
Whoa.
Yeah, just walking around in your bathrobe, talking to robots who are depressed, and that's all I got.
I just realized that because I know that Telltale did Back to the Future. This is definitely something off topic. I just realized how silly that double tie looked in Back to the Future. Marty had like the Back to the Future 2. He had like a double tie. It looks so weird.
It's like that. So that's the worst timeline possible, where we get that design.
I'll also go ahead and add one more thing before we'll move on here. We do have actually some questions here. I actually went ahead and see if we can get some questions through Twitter. We got 2 questions here real quick. We'll do that and we'll probably wrap up right now. But one thing I thought about as well that could be good for Telltale games. I actually saw some footage of this game that's coming out pretty soon. It looks really good. It seems like it's got potential. Like a Sherlock Holmes game by Telltale would be good. I'd definitely be down for that.
That'd be a good one.
I don't know if you've seen the footage, but there's like this next gen Sherlock Holmes game coming out. It's kind of like this adventure game that blends like the core themes of Sherlock Holmes, just doing a lot of investigating and interviewing people, and it also goes like into first person as well. There's a whole lot of in-depth detail that they're putting in with this game. It's like a adventure game. Sherlock Holmes. It looks like it's got potential.
You can customize them.
Yeah, you can customize them. You saw that too? That was good stuff.
I saw a blurb of it on Destructoid, and that was taken and ran with as customizing Jonathan Holmes before anyone could even before the hat could hit the ground. But I'm re-watching the trailer, and wow, this does look pretty. It looks very well done. I like the facial animations. They got good. This looks like a very high-end PS3, Xbox 360 game, or as they've obviously pointed to, it's a next-gen Xbox One, PS4 game. So
yeah, it looks interesting. I mean, the footage that I've seen, it definitely did sell me on the game. There's also like a 30-minute video kind of walkthrough on it. It's kind of like developer walkthrough. It doesn't get too in depth on like the story or anything. It just kind of mainly introduces you as in terms of like the gameplay and everything else. I saw that on Polygon. I'll link you to that video afterwards, and there's a lot of stuff in there that's definitely what got my attention on it. It seems like it'll be a pretty good Sherlock Holmes adventure game with a whole lot of actually using your brain to solve cases here. So I'm looking forward to that. But a Sherlock Holmes Telltale game will be good. I'd definitely like to see that.
I would love to see that, and I do hope you get to be. It does take notes from other detective games like L.A. Noire, where you can shout accusations at people and then immediately retract them, going, "I'm sorry, I just wanted to make sure that you didn't do it." You killed her corpse. You stuffed it full of dynamite, you threw it off the mountain, and then you blew her up. That's outrageous. Do you have any proof? Sometimes you gotta shake the tree to see what falls out.
Being the bipolar, Cole Phelps.
And I'm watching they got the Crime and Punishment's Sherlock Holmes gameplay on IGN right now, and I'm just watching it without any sound, and just wow.
It looks good, dude.
It does, yeah. I think they're going for maybe kind of the older style of Sherlock Holmes, where it's not Robert Downey Jr. or the kind of the BBC Sherlock version. I think they're kind of going for the original version, where they have more uptight British man.
Yeah, they also go into like some detail on you can actually like review your case notes and I guess put pieces together that can lead on to further maybe unlockable like levels you can go to. Like if you do enough investigating, you can put the pieces together and decide whether or not this person's guilty or not, and kind of go from there. I don't know what the consequences are if you're wrong about it, but as long as you have enough clues and you can kind of sum it up, you can go ahead and give the verdict pretty much. But they're showing you're reviewing your case notes like during the loading screen. And then once you're done, you can just hit continue. I thought that was pretty interesting too. If you want to really get into it, you look at the case notes and wait for the game to load, and you're good. But definitely check that out. It's definitely out there. Got my interest.
It's one of the most. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying it's definitely good. It got my interest to see more of it.
Yeah, and it's just a very. I think it's one of the hardest things to do with not only just a Sherlock Holmes game, but a Sherlock Holmes story, where you want to make it so that the player can solve the murder in a plausible way, in a way that's challenging but not impossible, while still making Sherlock Holmes seem like a genius. That's like a very, very hard line to cross, rather than just Cole Phelps, who's this regular guy who's happens to be just very good at his job, and then you're become an inspector.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to see how they pull that off. I mean, from what I've seen, they seem to have a grasp at what it takes to do that, to accomplish that very task you just said. That making the puzzles plausible, not impossible, and also keeping in line with the with Sherlock Holmes and being faithful to the source material, not letting them out to be something that. Not giving you puzzles that are just arranging like tiles and forming a picture. That stuff can be really easy sometimes, but not stuff like that. It's a bit more complex, but plausible. possible to do.
I would like to get that game and then make him lose every single case. It's like Sherlock Holmes in the case of the sudden stupidity. Sherlock, you sent 3 innocent men to the gallows. I know, but I can't be wrong. I'm Sherlock Holmes.
Play it and cue that music, that fiddle. I'll be down with that. So we'll if we don't have if there isn't anything else on your mind, Mr. Gorog, we'll quickly go on to some questions here before we wrap up, because I know it's late on your end there. You got things to do. You're a busy man.
Yes, absolutely. I'm busy catching those Z's.
Yeah. So I want to go ahead and pull up the tweet decks real quick. I got the Twitters. So we got a question here that I requested to be sent to us before we recorded this very fine podcast. We got a question here from at 8BitBig. We got, this question is, EA's access means we no longer own the games but rent them. Do you see this as a trend most of the industry will adopt? That was as a question there. But yeah, I read a little bit about this on Destructoid. I mean, EA is basically having this kind of this subscription model where you pay either $5 a month or $30 a year, and you can pretty much play games that they'll have advertised or promoted, like a few games like Battlefield and other games from the EA library. I mean, it seems like a good idea, but knowing EA, I can't really trust EA enough from their past mistakes and reputation. I can't trust them enough to do this justice. Like, the idea is solid. Like, games are expensive as it is, so I mean, this is definitely an idea I can get behind, but not with EA. If it was done by somebody else, maybe I'll get behind it. But I think Sony has said that they're not gonna offer this service on their end. I think this is like an Xbox One like beta subscription they're going with right now, that they're testing out the waters and seeing how this plays out here. This subscription based playing a game that they're advertised for $5 a month or $30 a year. You can play these games at no charge and get discounts on like DLC and other stuff. I mean, as it is, we're already paying like for Xbox Live Gold subscription. I can't really see myself getting into another subscription-based service where I may not use it, but it seems like it's a good service nonetheless. But I can't trust EA. That's the bottom line for me.
I totally agree. I think I can't trust EA. They've proven themselves not only to be vicious liars, but early adopters of bad practices, and for this, I don't really think that they're going to follow through on the games they promise and say just be patient, we'll be there in a minute, and never really come to fruition. I mean, it's what they did with Origin, and they've been trying to push this model for online passes for multiplayer for years. It only was a matter of time before they tried it with single player stuff, and as long as they directly call it a subscription-based rental service, I don't have a problem with it per se. I mean, I hope it's not adopted by the industry, but the industry has backed off on a lot of stupid stuff, like Ubisoft on their online passes stuff. They're stopping, and people are going to be vocal to EA about whether or not they like it, and I don't think it's going to be adopted by the rest of the industry, because owning a game is, not everyone is. I mean, people now don't have online. 100% of the people out there who play video games, nor do they always have online connections. So that's going to be a problem. So they have to wait until everyone is secure in the fact that they can play games online to have this service. I think they're going to shoot themselves in the foot again, like they have. And once again, I feel like this is like pre-ordering, because you're paying for games that you're promised are going to be good. You have no guarantee of this. Right. So the only way to kind of eliminate the middleman is to wait and see if the service is any good, and then pay for it if it is, by the strange 1,000,000 to 1 off chance that it's going to be good. EA, they were voted worst business in America 3 times running over Halliburton. So I don't expect them to not forget about that, and the fact that people get really pissed off when they do stupid practices like that. But the whole Sim City thing, Battlefield being near incomplete when it launched, I don't have faith that they know what they're doing. They'll milk a franchise and they'll leave it dead like they did with Dead Space.
Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, Mass Effect 3. Looking forward to Mass Effect 4, knock on wood. It wasn't, that BioWare made a good thing, it tried to do the best with what they had, and they had a surprisingly good multiplayer, but it still didn't change the fact that, it wasn't really necessary. And EA is known for pushing these practices just to get people online servers and to pour in more money. And the way that good companies like Valve do that is just say, hey, we offer really good deals. Hey, we offer good games. Hey, we offer a service that you may or may not like. It's your choice. You don't have to play the games on our stuff, but we'd prefer it if you do.
Right.
And hats. Lots of hats.
I mean, and it's also a good example of how to do DRM. Like, DRM isn't completely bad. It's just it's bad. It's poorly handled sometimes, and we've seen that before with Ubisoft when they had that in place before. It didn't work out well, and they just weren't capable enough to do it right. But other than that, we'll move on from that real quick. We got one more question.
Make it attractive to people who want it. Yeah. Not make it like they will have no choice but to play it. Make it they will want to play it.
Absolutely. And we got one more question here from Deep Voice, our affiliates, and from the BGB.com.
Is that from me?
Maybe. You read that too?
There can only be one Deep Voice around here.
Well, we'll still answer nonetheless. No matter how the questions are phrased, we'll still answer them. But I like this question. The Witcher 3 trailer gave me an erection for more than 72 hours. What should I do? Well, what I would suggest in order to cure that erection is to watch the Watch Dogs E3 gameplay and then play the game, and I think you'll be fine.
Are you saying you will be so flaccid that you'll never get an erection again?
No, for that time being, until you actually play The Witcher 3, I think that'll cure it, and maybe also, it'll also make it last a lot longer than it originally was when you saw that trailer. I'll be honest. I mean, that trailer it did give me an erection for I think about 73 hours. So.
Well, I gotta tell you, there's some happy girlfriends out there right now who have boyfriends who are Witcher fans. And
there we go.
I gotta say, if you don't know what to do with it, beat down your enemies with it, with pride and dignity. Or if you just want to get rid of it, just rewatch the Triss Marigold bath scene in Witcher 2.
My goodness.
My gracious.
My God.
Yeah, but that Witcher 3 looks awesome. That's one of the main reasons I want to get an Xbox One. The other one's the Master Chief Collection. All the other stuff is like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. But, Witcher 3, really looking forward to what they do.
Yeah, that definitely is, for me, a system seller right there. That's probably when I'll convert and buy one. I was thinking about buying a PS4 for like The Last of Us, but then I just I changed my thoughts on that. But I'll play that eventually soon. I know it's a good game, but I'm not at that point yet where I can spend money on a new console just yet. But I will soon.
I'm sorry?
No, I was just gonna say I wanted to mention quickly. I know that we were gonna wrap up, but we'll talk. Maybe we'll talk about it maybe more in depth next time. But real quick, have you played the Destiny beta?
I did.
And what were your initial thoughts on that? I know that the beta's ended right now, so we can't play it anymore. which is unfortunate.
I think it's a good game. I heard really mixed things. I heard people praising it. I hear people saying it's like, oh wow, it's even worse. It's so much worse than Halo. It's on par with Halo. It's kind of this weird amalgamation that doesn't all work, and they're kind of all right. Where it's this. I think Bungie really likes working in the fantastical sci-fi universe where it doesn't feel grounded in reality. It's like, oh, it's kind of mythological fantasy, not really tied to any particular like hard science fiction stuff. Just like, oh, this is kind of fun and kind of interesting. When the first Halo came on scene, that was kind of what it was at first, and I love the player creation, character creation. Not a whole lot there, but hey, anything that's better than GTA 5 is good in my book.
Oh man,
but those were some fugly looking faces that were in there. Where it's like, people would wear the masks in that game to do store robberies. I just wear it all the time because I wouldn't want to show my face in that world. And I like the character creations. I like the three different races of humans, machine humans. Yeah. And then with genders, apparently, because that's a pretty interesting one. And then kind of, I don't know, like the Exiled or Fallen, I can't remember what they were called, but they were essentially like space elves.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really I didn't really read up too much on the game. I didn't have really any high expectations on it, but from what I played, I had a good time. I thought it was a fun game. It had a lot of mix of different things, like in terms of its themes and presentation and its gameplay. It seems like it's got a lot of different inspirations. It's like the lobby seems like it's like a MOBA, and then like when you go into doing actual missions, you got a little bit of that Borderlands in there, and then you got some Halo. It's like a different culmination of all different types of ideas and gameplay mechanics that are all really well good. Again, it has a lot of potential. I mean, I had a good time playing with folks online, and there's definitely a lot there that could be expanded upon. I mean, to be honest, it's a beta, so there's definitely gonna be a lot of other stuff I may not have seen that's gonna be in the final game for sure. But I had a lot of fun from what I played. I just played the Hunter class. I didn't get the chance to play the other classes and see what they're about, but I liked the Hunter class and chose the kind of robot species thing. So that was fun for what it was, and I've been in the mood to play a good first-person shooter for a while, and this seems like something it's kind of right up my alley, and that seems like it blends enough well with kind of storytelling and some, I guess, co-op as well. Kind of mixes those two together, and it doesn't make it seem too required to play with others online. I mean, it makes it a whole lot of fun to do it, but you always see people like around the area as well. You can kind of join them or help them out if you happen to stumble upon other people that are doing maybe a different mission than you. It seems like there's all different kinds of missions going on when you go into that world, especially from what I got out of the beta. Like everybody's doing their own thing. Yeah,
it does seem like, because you have that open MMO world, but then like you can be required to go into your like single player mode when you're facing a particular type of mission, when you go inside somewhere. And of course, It's always great to have Tyrion Lannister at your side, just mentioning things. It's like, oh, that's a Guardian right there, watch out.
It's a disembodied voice. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, it was, I think it was well done for just the moments that we had with the beta. Like I like the motorcycle, space motorcycle thing.
That's cool.
I think I'm sorry.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
I just feel like the main HUD is a little bit confusing and not really thought out that well, and it's kind of like this big explosion of different of like these different areas and different salesmen, and I didn't really know which one it was, and just being a new guy, I was like, okay, do I craft these things? Do I sell them to this guy and then buy things to buy armor or something? And then just it was a little bit hard to figure out.
Yeah, but once you kind of get over that initial hump, it's a little bit better. I like the UI, like the main menu screen where you're kind of looking at your inventory and comparing different weapons and things like that. I thought that was really well done. I can hold the right trigger and compare items, seeing which weapon is better compared to the other one, and which does more damage or which shoots faster, things like that. I like that simplicity of it. I mean, not a lot of games get that right. There's a lot of different games that have those type of, you're kind of micromanaging your items and trying to figure out exactly which is beneficial to you. Like Skyrim wasn't the greatest. You couldn't tell exactly which weapon was better than the other one. You couldn't do the comparison between that. But it's nice that they at least thought of that to put that in there and make it easier for you to see if you should upgrade this weapon or keep the other one, things like that. And the different areas where you can store your weapons and keep collecting them and selling them for those blue gems, kind of like the currency. But I wasn't too sure exactly, but I mean, there's definitely a lot there, but we'll have to see when it comes out. I probably will be picking it up for the 360. I think it looks fine. I haven't compared it to the Xbox One. Maybe my eyes won't be able to adjust when I see the next gen version of it. Just like I couldn't get over the fact of seeing the comparison between like Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes on the PS4 compared to the 360. Like, whoa, there's a kind of the big difference there. Like the textures look so much better, and there's like the visual distance from where you're at. You can actually see far enough and not kind of get that blurriness from like the 360. But that was just me. Like, my eyes couldn't adjust to that ever since I saw it, and even when I was playing it on the 360, I couldn't get over that initial hump visually.
Yeah.
But it plays fine. It doesn't change the fact that the gameplays are mainly the same. It's just more of like a visual aesthetic that it's as long as you don't see the other version, I think you'll be fine and maybe not be too bothered by it like I was.
Yeah, it has promise, but yeah, I was not wowed, but I was expecting worse, but I was surprised in that, and it's a weird combination of like expectations for the company, expectations from what other people said, expectations from myself. And I only got to really play it for a day, but it was more good than bad.
Well, yeah. I mean, I got to play for I think like 2 or 3 days. I got a early code on it, but a day before it went public. I got to play a good amount before it went public, so I probably played about three good days of it. So I got a little bit more in there. Nice. I got a little bit more playtime in there than you might have had, but yeah, I like what I played. Wasn't it weird? Just off tangent here. Wasn't it weird to see the Activision come up when you're playing this game?
Oh God, yeah. It was like, I need to vomit, but I don't know why. Like it's.
You're gonna get that feeling. You're gonna get that feeling where you saw the EA logo for the Mass Effect game, Mass Effect 2. But even though Mass Effect 2 was still good. I got that. I had that initial feeling when I first played Mass Effect 2. It was like, oh man, I don't know how I feel about this. This EA logo coming up when I'm loading up Mass Effect 2. but in the end, it came.
A little dirty.
Yeah, felt a little dirty. I was like, I personally was. It was a little weird because I'm sure you're used to seeing like the Microsoft kind of logo coming out for like Bungie games, and seeing that Activision come up was like, even I thought to myself that this must be weird for those who played like Halo primarily, and I haven't played an Activision game in a long time. That's why it threw me off of it a little bit there when I saw that. I can't remember the last Activision game I played. I think it might have been Singularity.
Ooh, yeah. Well, Singularity and Tony Hawk. I was kind of half expecting to kickboard over to my to kickflip over to my next objectives.
There we go.
With Tyrion Lannister going like, Wicked 180!
Wicked 180.
Yeah. But overall, only got to play a little bit of time with it, but yeah, it was still good.
Yeah.
Still fun.
Very good. So, yeah, that concludes our episode for today, folks. I think this has been a good one. It almost seems like, we always have that pretty big gap, almost like the Walking Dead and Wolf Among Us episodes. That there's that gap between episodes. But I think that the way that it's not something we intend to do, but it's just like the way that it's been for a while, just because of our schedules. But I like how it kind of works. I always feel like we always have a lot to talk about, and there's always it always feels like a good episode every time we do this. Every time there's that gap between episodes. I remember when we did them weekly, we sometimes will go through a lot of the news already, like that first week, and then after that we would just kind of go off tangent. But they were still good, but we just kind of go off tangent for the most part because there was nothing else to talk about.
Oh yeah, because we had well, I mean, we could always talk about Steven Seagal. It has nothing to do with going off tangent. It's just about respecting the man who needs respect.
No, I hear you. I mean, we can't get enough Steven Seagal discussions. I can talk about the Lawman TV show all day.
Or Kiefer tackling Christmas tree lights. Or like maybe if he tackles Minor, he'll get that 24 Telltale game.
I'm surprised they never made like an iOS game of that incident. I'm surprised they haven't done that. Like you just tackling Christmas trees, tackling old ladies, there's all sorts of things you could tackle. It'll be an amazing game.
Like the final challenge is him running towards the end zone, and quarterback snaps him a ball. Like I got it, tackle. It'll be like
Paper Ninja, but with Kiefer. He's just throwing like a bunch of Kiefers at anything.
And as DLC, you get to unlock Donald Sutherland as well.
My God,
you bring in the whole family.
That's good. But yeah, thanks.
Yep.
Thank you very much, everybody, for listening, and always there for there when we're always for. I don't even know what to talk about. For those gaps, the gaps of time that we go between episodes, we still appreciate you guys tuning in anytime you can. But as always, you can check us out on YouTube. Those videos go up on my YouTube channel as well as the bgb.com, and also on iTunes. As those are the normal places to go to download them. For the most part, you'll have better luck through the iTunes and through those two other options there. So it's so many options to get the show. So you're good. You're covered there.
Yep. It's good to be back. Thank you very much, Splinter, for being an excellent compadre in this episode today. And thank you to all of our fans out there. Check us out on YouTube, on iTunes, and TunePod, and House of Cards, and House of Lies, and Lies of House, and House MD.
House.
It's thank you very much.
Well, yeah. So you have a wonderful day, everybody, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah. Have a good night, everybody, or good day, or good afternoon, and see you all later. You guys make the world spin for us.
All right, take it easy, everybody.
Alrighty, bye-bye.